Chapter 790. Kuang Xing's transformation was extremely horrifying. His skin was already rotten, but now, from the rotten skin, there were countless red tentacles. Each tentacle was as thick as a finger. After growing out of his body, they kept extending until they were a few meters long before stopping. In a moment, Kuang Xing turned into a sphere wrapped by countless soft tentacles. Yang Tian and Chengwu Xingyang looked at all of this, and their eyes were a bit sluggish. This transformation was just too shocking. At this time, Kuang Xing's transformation was not complete yet. The red tentacles that were wrapped together began to slowly change into a dark gray color. Of course, Yang Tian would not let Kuang Xing complete his transformation so smoothly. He could imagine that Kuang Xing's combat power would definitely be stronger after his transformation. Otherwise, Kuang Xing would not have done this. Yang Tian held his sword with both hands and once again slashed at Kuang Xing, who had turned into a strange sphere. At this time, even Chengwu Xingyang moved. From his storage bracelet, he took out a silver bow, nocked an arrow, and shot at Kuang Xing. However, facing the attacks of the two, Kuang Xing, who had turned into a black sphere, did not react at all. The silver arrow shot by Chengwu Xingyang bounced off as soon as it came into contact with it. On the other hand, Yang Tian's saber energy only left a shallow mark on the surface. However, 15's unique energy that could harm spiritual bodies had penetrated it. He did not know if it could harm Kuang Xing. Kuang Xing's transformation did not last long. Pring! Suddenly, there was a loud noise. The black sphere exploded, and a red shadow rushed out from it. The power of the black sphere's explosion was several times stronger than the energy impact from Kuang Xing's explosion. The red shadow that rushed out of the black sphere successfully broke through the bindings and landed outside the force field created by the 12 black holes. At this time, the green worms in the cave had been absorbed by Yang Tian's 12 black holes. The light in the cave became as bright as before. This red shadow was obviously Kuang Xing. After he broke free from Yang Tian's restraints, he didn't immediately attack Yang Tian. Instead, he landed on the ground and stood there quietly. At this time, Kuang Xing was a little shorter than before. His head was smaller than before, and his arms were longer. When they hung down, they went over his shorter legs. It was a wrinkled face with two devilish blue eyes that took up 1/3 of the face. Aliens? Seeing Kuang Xing's current appearance, Yang Tian couldn't help but think of these 3 words. Before he left Earth, Yang Tian's imagination of an alien planet was similar to the current Kuang Xing. What surprised Yang Tian was that, after the transformation, the energy fluctuations emitted by Kuang Xing's body were much weaker than before, becoming weaker and weaker. Obviously, it was impossible. Kuang Xing stared coldly at Yang Tian with his big blue eyes. Kuang Xing, who had broken through the shackles, no matter what he turned into, gave Yang Tian great psychological pressure. Strike first and gain the upper hand. Yang Tian's mind moved, and the 12 black holes suddenly disappeared. After shrinking to the size of a fist, they appeared around Yang Tian. They were less than a foot away from Yang Tian. Their arrangement was different from before, and the force field they produced protected Yang Tian in the middle. In this way, if Kuang Xing wanted to attack him, he would have to break through the defense produced by the 12 black holes. This was another way Yang Tian used the black hole chain. A sharp weapon could attack the enemy, and naturally, it could also defend oneself. However, this kind of defense was still much weaker than an attack. After making these preparations, Yang Tian stomped on the ground and rushed towards the transformed Kuang Xing. This was a probing attack. Yang Tian's speed didn't reach his fastest speed, so that he could retreat at any time. While he was rushing, Yang Tian kept on slashing at Kuang Xing. Dozens of red sword cheese surrounded Kuang Xing from all angles. At the same time, Yang Tian released a few strands of spirit energy, and they followed the flow of the air and wrapped around Kuang Xing. Yang Tian's movements were extremely fast. defense, attack, and using spirit energy to investigate. It was all done in one go. Facing Yang Tian's dozens of sword qis, Kuang Xing finally moved. His red body only trembled a little, and then he disappeared. Yang Tian was shocked, because after transforming, Kuang Xing's breath became weaker, but his speed was at least 50% faster than before. This was something that Yang Tian's spirit energy couldn't capture. Kuang Xing's strength was already stronger than Yang Tian's. If his speed was even faster, this kind of combat ability would be terrifying for Yang Tian. Boom! Before Yang Tian could react, Kuang Xing appeared behind him and used a long arm to hit Yang Tian. The 12 black holes that were orbiting around Yang Tian produced a strong defensive energy. When Kuang Xing's attack hit it, there was a loud boom. The violent impact caused Yang Tian's body to fly to the side. With the protection of the black holes, Yang Tian smashed through dozens of large rocks before he stopped. At this moment, although Yang Tian wasn't injured, the powerful impact made him dizzy and dazed for a short moment. In this short moment of daze, Kuang Xing arrived again. He fell from the sky, and with his short legs, he stepped on Yang Tian. Boom! There was another loud bang. Yang Tian, who was under the protection of the 12 black holes, was directly smashed into the ground by Kuang Xing. With Yang Tian as the center, a large crater with a diameter of 10 meters appeared. This time, the collision of energy was even more violent, but it caused Yang Tian to immediately wake up. The current Kuang Xing, compared to before his transformation, was like a completely different person. Not only did he become stronger, but he was also extremely calm. He gave people the feeling that he was a fighting machine. Roar! Kuang Xing attacked Yang Tian twice in a row. In a very short time, the little blue dragon finally reacted. He let out a roar and quickly rushed over. Before the little blue dragon could get close, Kuang Xing's figure flashed and suddenly appeared on top of the little blue dragon's head. Just like how he attacked Yang Tian before, he stepped on the little blue dragon's head. Boom! The little blue dragon's head slammed into the ground. The huge dragon head sank deep into the hard rock ground, and Kuang Xing did not let it go. He stepped on the little blue dragon's head with one of his feet. The little blue dragon, who had not yet recovered from the injury on one of his dragon claws, could not break free even if he used all his strength. Whoosh! Boom! In desperation, the little blue dragon's dragon horn produced a bolt of lightning and accurately bombarded Kuang Xing's body. But this powerful electric current could not even break through Kuang Xing's defense. Bombarding with electric current was not enough. The little blue dragon's body ignited with golden dragon flames. As soon as the dragon flames came out, the surrounding temperature also rose rapidly. Any rock that came into contact with the dragon flames softened and melted at an extremely fast speed, emitting bursts of black smoke. Under such high temperature, Kuang Xing did not move at all. His body moved again and exerted force on his feet. With a boom, the little blue dragon's huge head sank even deeper. Just now, if it was not for the little blue dragon's timely appearance, his 12 black hole defense would definitely have been destroyed by Kuang Xing. At that time, he could only wait for death. Although he suffered 2 heavy blows, Yang Tian was not injured. He relied on the defensive power of these 12 black holes. Seeing such a situation, Yang Tian's eyes were about to split open. Kuang Xing actually abused the little blue dragon like this in front of him. The extremely angry Yang Tian, with a thought, the black hole chain in the energy world once again rotated at high speed. In an instant, every black hole that made up the black hole chain spun at the fastest speed, completely out of the control of Yang Tian's mind. The process of the battle had developed to this point, and it was completely out of Yang Tian's expectations. He originally thought that with the power of the black hole chain, he could trap Kuang Xing and then use level 15's special energy to kill Kuang Xing. What he did not expect was that Kuang Xing also had a special method. He actually suddenly transformed and had even more power and speed. Facing such an opponent, if he did not fight with all his might, he and the little blue dragon would die in Quang Shing's hands. After the 12 black holes that made up the black hole chain lost control, Yang Tian no longer paid attention to them and shifted most of his attention to his physical body. The black hole chain's high-speed rotation made Yang Tian's power stronger and stronger. At this moment, one could tell from the aura emitted by Yang Tian. Qing Wu Xingyang, who was hiding behind a huge rock, looked at Yang Tian and his eyes suddenly widened. Because the aura emitted from Yang Tian's body quickly broke through the Destiny realm and rose to the 100 Transformations realm. Even at this time, he still did not stop. From the early stage of the 100 Transformations realm, he quickly went to the middle stage, then the late stage. This did not mean that Yang Tian's realm had increased, but it was because Yang Tian had powerful strength. The strength a cultivator possessed was matched with their realm. The body was like a container. The energy contained in the energy world of a Destiny realm cultivator could not be compared to a 100 Transformations realm cultivator. In addition to the amount of energy contained, there was also the output. In this aspect, there was also a big difference. When the energy fluctuations emitted from Yang Tian's body reached the middle stage of the 100 Transformations realm, his skin began to seep out bright red blood. If he continued to increase like this, his body would explode from the powerful energy. Seeing the changes in Yang Tian's body, Quang Shing's 2 big blue eyes showed a trace of interest. At this moment, he could completely let go of the little blue dragon and attack Yang Tian again before Yang Tian completed the process of increasing his battle strength. But he did not move, because when this thought appeared in his mind, a strong sense of danger suddenly emerged from the bottom of his heart. It seemed that during the process of transformation, Yang Tian also had a way to deal with him. Now, Quang Shing had already experienced Yang Tian's precise calculation ability. When the current body could not withstand the more powerful energy, Yang Tian also transformed. The process of Yang Tian's transformation was much better than Quang Shing's transformation. First, the whole body grew scales, then, the hands and feet turned into dragon claws, then the torso, the head. Yang Tian transformed from a human into a 2-meter-long dragon at an extremely fast speed. I came back late, I owe 3,000 words, I will make up for it tomorrow. From tomorrow onwards, I will update twice. The update will be placed before 10:30 p.m. Chapter 791. It had been a long time since he transformed into a dragon, but Yang Tian was still very familiar with this body. He felt that there was no difference between a dragon's body and a human's body, and he could control both freely. After completing the transformation, Yang Tian's dragon body continued to grow and soon became a dragon more than 10 meters long. At this moment, Quang Shing became even more insignificant in Yang Tian's eyes. After transforming into a dragon, Yang Tian's physical strength had more than doubled because this change had occurred in the structure of his cells. A strong physical body could withstand a stronger energy impact. In almost a few breaths' time, the energy fluctuations produced from Yang Tian's dragon body had surpassed the 100 Changes realm and reached the Heavens Wander realm. Qing Wu, Xingyang, and Quang Shing were shocked that after Yang Tian reached the Heavens Wander realm, his aura was still growing stronger. Yang Tian did not want this to happen. In fact, at this time, his transformed dragon body was almost unable to withstand the energy output from the black hole chains, and the energy in the original realm was about to be drained. In the energy world, a large number of planets were shattered and turned into the purest energy, which was absorbed by the black hole chains. If the black hole chains continued to strengthen like this, Yang Tian's original realm would soon collapse. At this time, Yang Tian needed a way to vent the energy output from the black hole chains to quickly find an outlet. This way, the pressure on his body would be reduced, and then he would find a way to slow down the rotation of the 12 black holes that formed the black hole chains. Seeing that Yang Tian's realm was about to surpass his, Kuang Xing finally could not bear it and let go of the little blue dragon. His body flashed and turned into a red light, rushing toward Yang Tian. At this moment, the powerful energy impact made Yang Tian's body very uncomfortable, but at the same time, his senses had been raised to a new level. Before this, his vision could not even see by Xingxuan's movements, let alone Kuang Xing. He had to rely on his mind power to offset by Xingxuan's speed advantage. But now it was different. After his strength had been raised to the soul travel realm, the scene of Kuang Xing rushing towards him appeared clearly in his eyes. This was just his vision. After his reaction speed increased by tens of times, Yang Tian suddenly realized that his control over his mental power had become more exquisite. At this moment, for Yang Tian and Kuang Xing, time seemed to have slowed down by dozens of times. Kuang Xing wanted to deal with Yang Tian the same way he dealt with the little blue dragon. He appeared above Yang Tian's head like lightning and quickly descended. Kuang Xing, who had rich combat experience, could naturally tell that the back of a flying creature like a dragon was its blind spot, its weakness. In the face of Kuang Xing's attack, Yang Tian swung his dragon tail and rushed forward diagonally, just in time to dodge Kuang Xing's attack. Boom! Kuang Xing's body was like a cannonball, crashing into the ground. The hard rock layer had a crater of more than 10 meters deep. Before Kuang Xing could get out of the crater, Yang Tian swung his dragon tail and slammed it into the crater. With a boom, Kuang Xing was buried in the crater. Of course, these rocks could not hurt Kuang Xing. With a boom, Kuang Xing broke through the rocks that buried him and began to spin rapidly in the air. As Kuang Xing spun, tens of thousands of red lights were emitted from his body. Borrowing the force of his spin, they were all aimed at Yang Tian. The red lights came too suddenly and were very fast. Yang Tian could not dodge them. Fortunately, although he had transformed into a dragon, Yang Tian did not retract the 12 black holes that were surrounding him. The powerful force field that they created was still protecting Yang Tian's body. Pft, 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 pft. The red lights were very powerful. They kept on hitting the force field created by the black holes, making a poof sound that was as dense as raindrop. During the collision, Yang Tian could see clearly that the red lights were Kuang Xing's blood. As Kuang Xing's body spun rapidly, he forced out some of his blood and let it condense into blood beads with powerful energy. The blood beads that were thrown out by Kuang Xing could probably even break through rocks that were several meters thick. The powerful collision caused the 12 black holes that were protecting Yang Tian to tremble. Kuang Xing's body kept on spinning in the air. Countless blood beads kept on coming out from his body. Kuang Xing understood that the reason why Yang Tian had such powerful energy was because he had used a special method to quickly release a large amount of energy in a short period of time. In fact, he would not be able to hold on for long. At this time, Kuang Xing was not confident that he could kill Yang Tian in a short period of time. Therefore, he used this method of consumption to make Yang Tian passively defend. He believed that before the blood in his body ran out, Yang Tian would not be able to hold on. During the battle with Kuang Xing, the energy in Yang Tian's body was still increasing. At this time, more than half of the planets in the original realm had been shattered and turned into energy that was absorbed by the black hole chains. The energy in the original realm began to slowly lose its balance. He could not wait any longer. He had to kill Kuang Xing in a short period of time. Otherwise, even if Kuang Xing did not make a move, he would still die. In the face of Kuang Xing's unique attack method, Yang Tian's dragon eyes showed a determined look. Immediately, Yang Tian's mind moved. The 12 fist-sized black holes that surrounded him suddenly became several times larger. A powerful force field with him, as the center spread out in all directions. Buzz, the powerful force field caused the invisible space to vibrate, producing strange muffled sounds. Under this powerful force field, Yang Tian's dragon body suddenly straightened and disappeared from where he was like lightning. The next moment, he was already in front of Kuang Xing, his two claws clasped together. Yang Tian used the powerful force field produced by the 12 black holes to eject himself. At this speed, even the transformed Kuang Xing could not react in time. When Kuang Xing realized that Yang Tian was close to him, he wanted to dodge. However, he suddenly found that he had fallen between Yang Tian's two dragon claws. Kuang Xing was shocked. The powerful force in his body erupted again, trying to break free. He did not expect that Yang Tian's two dragon claws seemed to have infinite power. No matter how much power he unleashed, he could not break free. Not only that, but the power in Yang Tian's claws was still increasing. During this process, Kuang Xing also heard a strange gurgling sound coming from the two dragon claws that enveloped him. This was the reaction of Yang Tian's current physical body, which was about to be unable to withstand the power. However, even if his body was about to collapse, there was enough time to kill Kuang Xing. Kuang Xing's body was gradually deformed by the two dragon claws. If Kuang Xing died like this, he might become the first cultivator in the world to be killed by the claws of an exotic beast. Chapter 792. Of course, Kuang Xing wouldn't just wait for death. Under the pressure of Yang Tian's claws, the inside of his body actually started to melt. This was a special way of escaping. Kuang Xing used his outer shell as support to resist the pressure, while the inside of his body turned into liquid. It was a blood-red color, and it flowed out from his left ear, escaping from Yang Tian's claws. Yang Tian's claws couldn't fit perfectly. The blood-red liquid flowed out from between the claws, and after it fell to the ground, it quickly turned back into a human form. At this time, Kuang Xing had already returned to his original appearance, no longer looking like an alien. Crack pung, at this time, the outer shell that Kuang Xing left between Yang Tian's claws finally shattered, and he became a meat patty. Actually, Kuang Xing didn't need to escape so quickly. If he used all his strength to fight against Yang Tian might not be able to hold on. The reason was that Yang Tian's claws had a strong destructive force to the cells of the body. This was Yang Tian's force. From the moment Yang Tian grabbed Kuang Xing to the moment Kuang Xing escaped, it was only a short minute. Chen Wuxingyang's eyes were filled with surprise and excitement. The battle between Yang Tian and Kuang Xing was undoubtedly a battle between the top experts of this world. He had never imagined that the battle between the two would be in such a way and process. During this time, not only did the two use their powerful strength, but they also used their bodies to adapt to the needs of the battle. Although Kuang Xing escaped from Yang Tian's claws, his battle strength was greatly reduced. Now, he was less than half of his peak strength. Even so, Kuang Xing's eyes were still filled with a strong battle intent. Just from the opponent's point of view, Kuang Xing couldn't help but admire Yang Tian. Originally, he could crush such a life comprehension realm cultivator with just a finger. He didn't expect that Yang Tian's strange moves would make a top expert like him suffer one after another. Kuang Xing's escape had been within Yang Tian's expectations. He hadn't expected to use such a simple method to get rid of Kuang Xing. Kuang Xing was now safe, but Yang Tian was in trouble. This time, even if Kuang Xing didn't make a move, he would probably be destroyed. This was because Yang Tian had completely lost control of the energy in his body. Pung! There was an explosion. Yang Tian's dragon claws suddenly exploded into pieces, turning into pieces of flesh and blood that scattered in all directions. Even Chen Wuxingyang, who was not far away, was drenched in blood. Pung! Then, there was another explosion. After the two front dragon claws exploded because they couldn't withstand the force, his two back claws also exploded. At this time, Yang Tian, who was floating in the air, looked like a python because he had lost his four claws. roar, Yang Tian could not help but howl in pain as his 4 limbs exploded and his senses were incomparably sharp. Originally, he was howling ah, but when the sound came out it was a dragon's cry. At this time, Kuo-shing had already put on a purple robe and was standing far away. He frowned as he watched what happened to Yang Tian. He didn't feel happy at all about Yang Tian's self-destruction. Instead, he felt pity for him. He thought that it was all because of Yang Tian's transformation. He couldn't completely control his transformed body. Then, he thought of himself. When a high-level cultivator wants to transform, they need to obtain the genetic information of other organisms. Only then can they change their own body cells. To transform one's body out of thin air, perhaps only those legendary gods could do it. Kuo-shing's transformation was also done in this way. What made him different from others was that his cells were unknowingly corroded by the divine blood and changed. The divine blood didn't just affect his body, it also affected his personality. Sometimes, after Kuo-shing calmed down and thought about what he had done, he would realize that he was a completely different person. In his mind, after a brief moment of emotion, Kuo-shing turned his attention to Yang Tian, who had transformed into a dragon. Whether it was the calm Kuo-shing or the other Kuo-shing, he would not allow Yang Tian to leave here alive. The explosion of the 4 claws seemed to announce the beginning of Yang Tian's destruction. His dragon's cry made the little blue dragon, who was crawling on the ground, finally wake up. After being hit in the head by Kuo-shing's powerful force, the little blue dragon's soul was shaken and it had been in a semi-conscious state. The little blue dragon, who had woken up, immediately saw the danger that Yang Tian was in. Most importantly, Yang Tian had lost control of the energy in his body, and his transformed dragon body couldn't withstand this violent energy. What to do? Seeing Yang Tian's current state, the little blue dragon was even more anxious than when it was in danger. It couldn't imagine what it would be like without Yang Tian. At this time, there was another explosion on Yang Tian's body, and his dragon tail exploded. The dragon body was greatly damaged, and Yang Tian's spiritual body, which was his soul, was also severely damaged. At this time, Yang Tian was not without a way to protect himself. If at this time, he let his soul simply leave his current body and temporarily live in the little blue dragon's body, as long as the little blue dragon escaped here, he would be able to live again with the blood essence of the little blue dragon, just like last time. However, this was based on the premise that the little blue dragon left safely. Now that Kuo-shing was watching from the side, doing this would only make the little blue dragon die with him. Because with Kuo-shing's current combat power, he could still easily kill the little blue dragon. Therefore, even if he died, Yang Tian would let Kuo-shing suffer heavy injuries, or even perish together with him. Huff! Just as Yang Tian was gritting his teeth and persevering, suddenly, there was the sound of wind in front of him, and a purple shadow appeared. It turned out that Kuo-shing had made his move again. There were too many miracles that happened to Yang Tian, and Kuo-shing didn't want another miracle to happen to Yang Tian. Therefore, when he thought that Yang Tian was at his weakest, he decisively launched an attack on Yang Tian. Kuo-shing was wrong. At this time, Yang Tian looked miserable, but in reality, he hadn't reached his weakest state yet. He originally planned to go all out and give Kuo-shing a grudge, but he didn't expect that Kuo-shing would take the initiative to come to him. Stimulated by the pain in his body, the moment Kuo-shing approached him, Yang Tian's mind moved, and he once again sped up the rotation of the 12 black holes in the energy world. If the 12 black holes were to be seen as a high-speed car, it was already driving very fast, and Yang Tian couldn't stop it. He could only let it continue to move forward. At this time, Yang Tian used his mind to make it accelerate again, undoubtedly giving the car a push from behind, making it run even faster. The speed at which the black hole chain erupted with energy once again increased by a level. At this moment, the first to be destroyed was Yang Tian's energy world. the entire original realm, the vast universe, suddenly collapsed and turned into energy, converging toward the black hole chain at an incredible speed. The destruction of the energy world ejected Yang Tian's consciousness. Otherwise, Yang Tian's mind would have been swallowed up by the black hole chain. At this time, the black hole chain became a veritable black hole. Almost at the same time as the energy world collapsed, the 12 black holes around Yang Tian instantly expanded and merged together to become a huge black hole. At this time, the hand that Kuo-Xing used to attack Yang Tian hit his head. At this time, there was no need for Kuo-Xing to do anything. Yang Tian's body would be destroyed immediately. Now, it wasn't just Yang Tian's body that was destroyed. Even Kuo-Xing, who was attacking Yang Tian, was in trouble. Seeing that his surroundings had become dark, Kuo-Xing was shocked and wanted to withdraw. Therefore, his right hand that was hitting Yang Tian's head exerted more force. Unexpectedly, Yang Tian's body actually scattered like sand. Not only did Kuo-Xing not borrow any strength, but he also felt an irresistible force around him, compressing his body towards a small point in front of him. Kuo-Xing was shocked and knew that his physical body couldn't be saved. His spirit body immediately separated from his physical body and escaped the gravitational range of the black hole. The black hole was formed not long ago, and the range it covered was not large. When Kuo-Xing separated from his physical body, he saw Cheng Wu-Xingyang, who was not far away, staring at all this with his eyes wide open in shock. Kuo-Xing didn't hesitate. His spirit body condensed into a ball and rushed towards Cheng Wu-Xingyang, disappearing into his forehead. Kuo-Xing was an expert in the soul travel realm, while Cheng Wu-Xingyang was only in the illusion realm. The strength of his spirit body was far inferior to Kuo-Xing's. Kuo-Xing did this because he wanted to borrow Cheng Wu-Xingyang's body for temporary storage. Kuo-Xing's spirit body escaped. Yang Tian's consciousness, which was called a spirit body in this world, of course escaped the gravitational range of the black hole. Unlike the destruction of his physical body, Yang Tian's consciousness had completely lost contact with the energy world. The result was much better than Yang Tian expected. He finally defeated Kuo-Xing, but it was a Pyrrhic victory. Chapter 793. Yang Tian's consciousness could safely exist in the little blue dragon's body, but it wasn't so easy for Kuo-Xing. Although Kuo-Xing's spirit body wasn't as strong as Kuo-Xing's, it naturally wouldn't wait for death in the face of an external spirit body. It began to resist fiercely. In Cheng Wu-Xingyang's mind, 2 clouds of different colors appeared. These were the forms of Cheng Wu-Xingyang and Kuo-Xing's consciousness. Kuo-Xing's spirit body was silver-white, while Cheng Wu-Xingyang's spirit body was gray. Kuo-Xing wanted to rely on Cheng Wu-Xingyang's body to safely leave this place, so he had to control Cheng Wu-Xingyang's spirit body. After chasing for a while, Cheng Wu-Xingyang's spirit body was finally surrounded by Kuo-Xing's spirit body. At this time, Kuo-Xing finally gained control of Cheng Wu-Xingyang's body. However, at this moment, Kuo-Xing was still worried about Yang Tian. If Yang Tian's spirit body survived and killed Cheng Wu-Xingyang with the help of the little blue dragon, he would also be in trouble. If Kuo-Xing and Yang Tian were in a different situation, he wouldn't hesitate to kill Cheng Wu-Xingyang. When Kuo-Xing woke up from Cheng Wu-Xingyang's body, he saw a huge black sphere in the cave. What was different from before was that without Yang Tian's control, the black hole stopped and no longer exerted a strong suction force on its surroundings. Yang Tian originally thought that after the black hole lost control, it would devour everything like a real black hole. Yang Tian and the little blue dragon trusted each other as much as they trusted each other. When Yang Tian's spirit body entered the little blue dragon's body, Yang Tian was able to share a dragon body with the little blue dragon. Through the little blue dragon's eyes, Yang Tian saw the abnormality of the black sphere and pondered. At this time, anger came from Cheng Wu-Xingyang's body. Yang Tian had left a wisp of his spiritual power in Cheng Wuxingyang's body. Before it dissipated, Yang Tian learned what was happening in Cheng Wuxingyang's body. While the two spirits were fighting, Yang Tian only needed to use his mind to disperse the wisp of spirit power, and the origin power wrapped in the spirit power would explode. This way, he could easily kill Kuang Xing. Of course, in this way, Cheng Wuxingyang would also die. Although this was a good opportunity, Yang Tian hesitated for a moment before giving up. This was because Yang Tian had a good impression of Cheng Wuxingyang. If he sacrificed him in order to kill Kuang Xing, Yang Tian wouldn't be able to accept it. What was the purpose of Yang Tian's cultivation? Why was he constantly getting stronger? Of course, it was to make things easier for him. Yang Tian wanted him and his family, as well as the people who loved him and him, to live a peaceful life and not be bullied by others. If he felt uncomfortable, of course, it would mean that he was unhappy. Now that Kuang Xing had become a spirit, as soon as he left Cheng Wuxingyang's body, Yang Tian only needed to take out 15th, and he wouldn't have to do anything. 15th could kill him. Boom! Yang Tian was just planning on how to lure Kuang Xing's spirit out of Cheng Wuxingyang's body when the calm black hole suddenly exploded. It was like a high-explosive bomb, violently shooting out powerful energy in all directions. This energy was absorbed by the black hole chain after Yang Tian's original realm was destroyed. The power of the explosion was several times stronger than the power of an atomic bomb. Although the space of the cave was big, it couldn't accommodate such powerful energy. The weaker parts of the cave were actually broken by the energy. In the sealed space, there was finally a vent. The little blue dragon's body and Cheng Wuxingyang were like leaves in a hurricane. Following the flow of energy, they flew rapidly in the cave for a moment and entered the broken hole. Although the energy of the black hole explosion was strong, strangely, it didn't produce high temperatures. This allowed the little blue dragon and Cheng Wuxingyang to survive in the violent energy flow. Although the explosion was strong, it was extremely short. The little blue dragon's body was rolled by the airflow for a few minutes. The strength of the airflow began to weaken significantly. The little blue dragon regained control of its body. With a swing of its tail, it flew in a random direction. After a moment, the little blue dragon flew out of the airflow. What appeared in front of the little blue dragon and Yang Tian was a huge stone ball that emitted a strong white light. And the little blue dragon was already in the void at this time. This space looked like a cosmic space. It was boundless. But other than the glowing stone ball, there was nothing else that resembled a planet. Obviously, the place where Yang Tian and the others were previously was inside the stone ball. Compared to the glowing stone ball, the space of the cave was extremely small. The little blue dragon was not far from the stone ball. Yang Tian felt that its volume was several times larger than Earth. If it wasn't for its irregular long shape, Yang Tian would definitely think that it was a planet. At this time, a strange energy fluctuation was transmitted into the little blue dragon's brain. It was like a communication request. Yang Tian was very familiar with this kind of energy fluctuation. He immediately let it enter the little blue dragon's brain without any hindrance. It was the strange program. When Yang Tian transformed, the strange program left Yang Tian's body and attached itself to the little blue dragon's body. The little blue dragon knew about the existence of the strange program. Of course, it wouldn't stop it. Back in the Hui family's secret room, the little blue dragon had cooperated with Qi Shiqing. As for Yang Tian's storage bracelet and the red long saber 15, they were swallowed into the little blue dragon's stomach and placed in its storage space. The little blue dragon understood that Yang Tian's storage bracelet and saber were very important to Yang Tian. This space was created by the talisman array on that huge rock. The talisman master who created this space probably saw cosmic space. The voice of the strange program sounded in the little blue dragon's mind. "Xiaolong, go take a look." After the strange program finished speaking, Yang Tian immediately said to the little blue dragon. Yang Tian's voice was still echoing in the little blue dragon's body when a figure appeared in front of it. It was Qing Wu Xingyang. No, it should be Kuo Xing now. In fact, this huge rock suspended in the void was the real treasure trove of the everlasting temple. Even if the black hole didn't suddenly erupt with powerful energy, Kuo Xing would find a way to leave and come to the surface of this huge rock. Because here, he stored a part of his flesh and blood. This was Kuo Xing's real flesh and blood. It wasn't stained with any divine blood. Through the flesh and blood, as well as the countless cultivation resources stored here, Kuo Xing would soon recover. What made Kuo Xing depressed was that he moved faster than the little blue dragon, but his flying speed was far inferior to the little blue dragon's. After occupying Qing Wu Xingyang's body, Kuo Xing could also use Qing Wu Xingyang's power. In other words, Kuo Xing now only had the combat power of the illusion realm. Tomorrow 4 Update. Chapter 794. The boulder was like a planet, and it also had a huge gravitational force. As soon as it was within 10,000 meters of the boulder, the little blue dragon's flying speed was affected by the gravitational force of the boulder, and its speed became faster and faster. Soon, it surpassed Kuo Xing and landed on the boulder first. The boulder was covered with pyramid-shaped storehouses built with stone. These storehouses were not protected by glyph arrays. From the outside, it looked very ugly. There was one such pyramid every 10 miles, and it was about 100 meters high. In all directions, the little blue dragon site was filled with these stone pyramids. After the little blue dragon landed, it looked up at the sky and saw Qing Wu Xingyang descending from the sky. Xiaolong, go and take a look. Yang Tian knew that these pyramids stored the cultivation resources collected by the Wuji Temple for countless years. But now was not the time to use them. He had to get rid of Kuo Xing first. If Kuo Xing was not eliminated, it would always be a big problem for Yang Tian. The little blue dragon swung its tail, bypassed a pyramid, and rushed toward the direction where Qing Wu Xingyang landed. The little blue dragon was very fast, but Kuo Xing was too familiar with this place. When the little blue dragon arrived, it opened the nearest pyramid and rushed in. The door of the pyramid was a stone door several meters thick. Seeing that Qing Wu Xingyang's body was covered by the falling stone door, the little blue dragon did not even think and rushed straight over. Boom! There was a loud noise. The hundreds of thick stone door was brutally smashed open by the little blue dragon. The passage behind the stone door was triangular, just enough to accommodate the little blue dragon. After smashing open the stone door, the little blue dragon just saw Qing Wu Xingyang disappear around the corner ahead. So, it swung its tail again and sped up. After turning a 90-degree turn, the passage ahead was much smaller, and the little blue dragon's speed slowed down. Fortunately, this passage was only 50 meters long, and the little blue dragon did not shrink its body. It passed through in a few breaths. After exiting this narrow passageway, there was a huge triangular stone room. The stone room was brightly lit. At the top of the triangular space there was a huge glowing sphere. Directly below it was an activated transmission array platform. The blue light of the teleportation platform was still on when the little blue dragon first came in, but it was extinguished in a few seconds. It seemed that Kuo Xing had controlled Qing Wu Xingyang's body to leave through this transmission array. There were tens of thousands of pyramids on this rock. If there was a teleportation platform inside each pyramid and they were connected to each other, it would form a huge maze. Under such circumstances, it was undoubtedly very difficult to track down Kuo Xing. The strange program controlled its countless tiny particles and circled around the teleportation platform a few times. The result was the same as Yang Tian's guess. The teleportation formation in front of him could be activated to more than 19,800 locations. In other words, Kuo Xing could reach more than 10,000 target points through this formation. If he wanted to find Quang Xing among the nearly 20,000 transfer points, he would have to be extremely lucky. Under such circumstances, Yang Tian decisively gave up on the idea of tracking Quang Xing. This was Quang Xing's territory. It was normal to encounter something like this in someone else's territory. Since he did not want to track Quang Xing, Yang Tian focused his attention on the things stored inside the pyramid. In this triangular space, the 3 slanted stone walls were full of holes about a foot long and 10 centimeters deep. The edges of the holes were engraved with numbers. In the holes there were all kinds of storage tools. Most of these storage tools were blue cylindrical storage jars engraved with runes. It was Yang Tian's first time seeing this kind of storage jar. It was said that this was the oldest kind of storage tool. In addition to the storage jar, there were many other types of storage tools, such as storage bracelets, storage belts, and even parts of armors. From these incomplete armors that had storage functions, Yang Tian could tell that most of these things were plundered by the Everlasting Temple after killing other cultivators. If Yang Tian guessed correctly, these storage tools had not been opened by the Everlasting Temple. Xiao Long, collect them. Through the little blue dragon's vision, seeing a large number of storage tools, Yang Tian could not help but be excited. Such a pyramid stored at least tens of thousands of storage tools. If he opened all of them, how many good things could he get? Just the amount of materials inside the pyramid was already unimaginable to Yang Tian. This was also in line with Yang Tian's expectations. If the pyramid was directly piled up with crystals, pills, beast cores, and so on, even if the little blue dragon had a big appetite, it would not be able to collect much. Now, after collecting these storage tools, he could take them back and slowly open them one by one. The storage space in the little blue dragon's body was very large and special. It could store a large number of such storage tools. Before Yang Tian finished speaking, the equally excited little blue dragon could not wait to open its mouth wide and suck hard. The whistling wind sounded, and under the effect of the airflow and the little blue dragon's mental power, a large number of storage tools flew out of the pit and entered the little blue dragon's mouth. It was worth mentioning that whether it was inside or outside the pyramid, there was air. If a perfect ecological environment was simulated on this huge rock with a talisman array, this would be an ideal place for cultivation. After collecting the storage tools, the little blue dragon came to the front of the array platform. When the little blue dragon collected the storage tools, the strange program had already cracked the talisman array on the teleportation platform. Under the guidance of the strange program, the little blue dragon used one of its dragon whiskers to tap on a few protruding square stones at the edge of the teleportation platform. Things made with talisman arrays had the same function as electronic devices. These stones were the key to opening the teleportation platform. After the little blue dragon pressed on a few protruding stones, the teleportation platform lit up with blue light and activated the teleportation platform. In fact, Yang Tian could have asked the little blue dragon to return the way it came after taking the items and then destroy the pyramid. By doing so, the speed of collection would be much faster. The reason why he did not do so was, of course, because of Quang Xing's existence. Quang Xing could use these pyramids to escape Yang Tian's pursuit. When the time came, Yang Tian could also use these pyramids to cover himself. After the little blue dragon entered the blue light of the teleportation platform, it arrived at another pyramid a moment later. After the blue light disappeared and the little blue dragon flew down from the teleportation platform, the scene that appeared in front of Yang Tian's eyes was very different from before. There were no storage tools on the 3 stone walls inside the pyramid, but on the ground there were boxes emitting dense cold air. The little blue dragon swung its tail and smashed the nearest box. It turned out that there was a young female corpse in the box. These are all coffins, a woman of the hallmaster when he was alive. After the hallmaster died, The strange program could understand the runes on the boxes, no, the coffins, and explained to Yang Tian and the little blue dragon. Chapter 795. The palace masters of the everlasting temple were all extremely domineering figures. After they died, they definitely wouldn't be willing to let the women they had become another man's women. Therefore, there was only one outcome for these women, and that was to be buried with them. Yang Tian sighed and let the little blue dragon activate the teleportation platform to go to the next pyramid. When they arrived at the third pyramid, the blue light in front of them had just disappeared when a huge exotic beast appeared in Yang Tian and the little blue dragon's line of sight. The exotic beast was as tall as a cow, and its body was more than 30 meters long. Its entire body was covered with barbed spikes. Its body was curled up and its eyes were closed. It was obvious that it was in a state of deep sleep. On the 3 stone walls of this space, there were many exquisite lattices inlaid. In the lattices there were all kinds of storage tools. Needless to say, these storage tools were much more precious than the items stored in the previous storage tools. Otherwise, our exotic beast wouldn't be guarding here. This was a Destiny Realm exotic beast. After the little blue dragon saw it, a strong fighting spirit appeared in its eyes. The storage tools here would definitely be taken away. At that time, it would be hard to avoid disturbing this sleeping exotic beast. It would be better to get rid of it first. Roar! The proud little blue dragon let out a howl towards the sky. The little blue dragon wanted to wake this exotic beast up and didn't want to sneak attack it. After the little blue dragon's howl, the huge exotic beast suddenly opened its eyes. This exotic beast had been sleeping for an unknown period of time. When it opened its eyes, there was a strong sense of confusion in its eyes. When it saw the little blue dragon, it took a long time to wake up. The battle that the little blue dragon was looking forward to did not happen. This strange exotic beast realized that the little blue dragon was staring at it covetously. It actually let out a low roar and turned to rush towards the exit. It was unknown if this exotic beast was naturally timid and afraid of fighting, or if it had a psychological trauma towards a divine beast like the little blue dragon. A series of rumbling sounds rang out, and the entire pyramid trembled. The entrance of the pyramid wasn't big. This exotic beast that had just woken up actually used its tyrannical body to forcefully open up a circular passage with a diameter of more than 20 meters in the narrow passage. After leaving the pyramid, the exotic beast disappeared without a trace in an instant. Seeing this situation, the little blue dragon and Yang Tian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Yang Tian thought that the little blue dragon and this exotic beast would have an exciting battle. That was good as well. This way, he would have more time to collect the items stored in the everlasting temple. Just like before, the little blue dragon opened its mouth and inhaled. All the storage tools were sucked into the little blue dragon's mouth and stored in its storage space. This experience made Yang Tian and the little blue dragon realize that even without Kuang Xing's obstruction, it wouldn't be so easy to obtain the wealth of the everlasting temple. Next was the 4th pyramid. It was the largest of the 4 pyramids. As soon as the blue light in front of them disappeared, what appeared in front of Yang Tian and the little blue dragon's eyes was a huge armor. It was unknown how long it had been placed here, but a thick layer of gray stone powder had accumulated on its surface. Accompanying the armor was a huge, light blue saber. This saber was extremely similar to 15. It was like an enlarged version of 15, only the color was different. As soon as he saw this huge saber, Yang Tian felt a strange, familiar feeling in his heart. He thought that this was probably because this saber was extremely similar to 15. On the huge blue saber, other than the hilt, the blade was as bright as new, without any dust on it. It was as if someone had wiped the blade with an oilcloth every day. The hands of the armor were placed on the hilt of the giant blue saber. The entire set of armor was in the position of standing with its legs spread apart. Because it was completely sealed, If it wasn't for the fact that the mask was open and there was no head inside, it would have looked like it was being worn by someone. The armor was 10 meters tall. Facing the teleportation platform, although it was only an empty shell, it still gave off a domineering feeling. Yang Tian liked this armor as soon as he saw it. Even if it was twice as big, as long as Yang Tian recovered his physical body, he would be able to find a way to wear it. In Yang Tian's mind, he couldn't help but think of how he would look after wearing this armor. Xiao Long, put it away. Yang Tian was stunned when he saw this set of armor. Then, he excitedly said to the little blue dragon. The little blue dragon nodded and opened its dragon mouth wide at the armor. In fact, when the little blue dragon was collecting items, it wasn't simply sucking them into its stomach. Instead, a special kind of spatial energy fluctuation was produced from its mouth. This kind of spatial energy was similar to the spatial energy produced when the storage tool was collecting items. The spatial energy released by the little blue dragon enveloped the huge armor in an instant. Under normal circumstances, under the effect of the spatial energy, this set of armor would suddenly shrink and enter the little blue dragon's mouth. This wasn't because the armor had really shrunk, but because of the visual difference caused by the spatial energy. It was as if a small grain of sand could exist in a universe. In the face of the little blue dragon's collection, this huge set of armor that had been sealed for countless years actually resisted the little blue dragon's collection and made a metal-like friction sound. At the same time, a strange and powerful aura was emitted from the armor. Whoosh, the armor didn't move, but the giant blue sword that was held in both hands suddenly lit up with a dazzling blue light. A crescent-shaped blue sword aura erupted and slashed toward the little blue dragon. Xiao Long dodged. Even in the little blue dragon's body, Yang Tian could feel the destructive power of this sword aura. The little blue dragon had already noticed the abnormality of this set of armor. When the giant blue sword lit up, it had already tensed up. As soon as Yang Tian's voice sounded, the little blue dragon dodged to the side. Boom! There was a loud noise. The blue sword aura slashed a stone wall of the pyramid and directly cut a hole in the stone wall that was dozens of meters thick. When the smoke and dust dissipated, Yang Tian and the little blue dragon saw that the stone wall that was cut out by the sword aura was as smooth as a mirror. When the bombarded part turned into powder, they were secretly shocked. If it was hit by this sword aura, it was estimated that even if the little blue dragon's body was twice as strong, it would still be cut in half. When the giant blue sword emitted a sword aura, the airflow generated also blew away the lime on the giant armor, revealing the original color of the armor. This was a set of dark armor covered with fine, mysterious runes. On both sides of the shoulder armor, two huge, strange characters were the most eye-catching. These two rune-like characters were recognized by the strange program. It said to Yang Tian, "These are the words Titan. Titan armor. There are still 2 chapters left. I'll go to sleep after writing and posting." Chapter 796. There is no doubt that anything with the word God is a very powerful thing. The Titan armor. Could it be the legendary armor worn by the gods in the divine dominion? Yang Tian thought as he looked at the passage cut by the giant blue blade. Although the Titan armor is huge, it should be easy to put it in the storage bracelet. Yang Tian's storage bracelet also has a spaceship. The most important thing is that the Titan armor doesn't want to be put in the storage bracelet. Probably no one can do anything to it except for the owner who used it. Even the temple master of the everlasting temple is the same. Otherwise, such a powerful equipment would not be stored in this place. Although the everlasting temple's treasure vault is similar to the storage bracelet, there are still differences. The more powerful the Titan armor is, the more Yang Tian likes it. But at this time, he doesn't have a physical body. It is impossible to find a way to put this armor away in a short time. Yang Tian can only give up helplessly. He is going to let the strange program record this teleportation point. After he recovers his physical body and finishes off Kuang Xing, he will think of a way. The strange program went to work and activated the teleportation platform again. A blue light appeared on it. When the little blue dragon was about to fly onto the platform, the Titan armor suddenly moved, making a jejej sound. The little blue dragon turned his head and saw that the helmet of the Titan armor moved. It was slightly tilted up, but now it moved down slightly, as if to look down at the teleportation platform. Yang Tian and the little blue dragon were stunned at the same time. Is this domineering and strange armor alive? Or the owner of this armor is not completely dead, and the spirit exists in the armor and can still control this armor, as Yang Tian was thinking. He saw the giant blue blade held by the hands of the Titan armor light up again, and a blade aura was released. Boom! There was a loud noise. This blade aura hit the teleportation platform that was activating and destroyed it directly. Obviously, it didn't want Yang Tian and the others to leave. Through the teleportation platform there are two exits. One is the original passage to enter the pyramid, and the other is the opening that was just cut by the giant blue blade. Without Yang Tian's reminder, the little blue dragon, aware of the danger, suddenly turned around and rushed to the original exit. Although he doesn't know how to open the stone door, the little blue dragon can smash it. As for the opening that was cut by the giant blue blade, the little blue dragon didn't even think about it. That was because it happened to be in the direction of the giant blue blade. If the giant blade came again while it was escaping, it wouldn't be able to dodge it even if it wanted to. The little azure dragon moved extremely quickly, but the giant god armor was even faster. While the Titan armor is the Titan armor is the Titan armor Titan armor, the Titan armor is the Titan armor is the Titan armor is Titan armor. The little blue dragon's head hit the blade of the giant blue blade. Yang Tian's consciousness is in the little blue dragon's body. Although he doesn't control the little blue dragon's body, he can clearly feel the pain that the little blue dragon is suffering. This kind of collision is like an egg hitting a rock. The little blue dragon is like an egg, and the giant blue blade that suddenly blocked the little blue dragon is like a boulder. The little blue dragon, who can easily smash rocks that are several meters thick, did not even tremble when it hit the giant blue blade. Fortunately, in the face of such a strong impact, the little blue dragon, the egg, did not break. After its body rolled a few times in the air, it fell to the ground. Because it is the main body, the pain that the little blue dragon feels is much more severe than Yang Tian. After getting up from the ground, it kept shaking its huge head, trying to wake up from the dizziness. The little blue dragon is not very clear-headed, but Yang Tian is. At this moment, through the eyes of the little blue dragon, he saw that the Titan armor has left its original place and blocked the entrance of the pyramid. This huge guy's movement speed was even faster than Kuang Xing's. It could be described with the word teleportation. The reason why it could move so quickly was because it had broken through space and performed a short-distance space jump. In the previous universe world, Yang Tian, who cultivated to the great star god realm, can also do it. But after coming to this world, because the space energy is extremely condensed, even soul travel realm cultivators can't do it. Otherwise, Yang Tian would have died at the hands of Kuo Xing. The Titan armor can do it because it has strange space runes on it. In the moment when it blocked the little blue dragon, the strange program noticed an extremely strong fluctuation of space energy. Because it was preparing to forcibly break open the stone door that is several meters thick, the little blue dragon's head has accumulated power and used a strong mental power. When it collided with the blue giant blade, the little blue dragon used its mental power to disperse most of the impact force into the surrounding space. After a moment of dizziness, the little blue dragon also woke up. The Titan armor is very powerful. If it really wants to kill the little blue dragon, it will be very easy. If the little blue dragon was flying at high speed just now, the edge of the blue giant blade would not be facing the ground, but facing the little blue dragon. The little blue dragon will be cut in half. The purpose of the Titan armor should be to prevent the little blue dragon from leaving, not to kill the little blue dragon. When the little blue dragon is stopped, the Titan armor is still in the same position as before, standing in front of the little blue dragon, motionless. However, the head of the armor is lowered, as if someone is watching the little blue dragon from inside the mask. Yang Tian is sure that there is no life in this armor, but the behavior of this armor can only be done by a living body. Facing the sizing up of the Titan armor, the little blue dragon carefully retreated. This thing in front of him is really too strange. Just as Yang Tian was wondering, suddenly, he felt a strong attraction from the outside into the little blue dragon's mind, directly pulling him out of the little blue dragon's body. After leaving the little blue dragon's body, Yang Tian's consciousness uncontrollably went toward the mask of the Titan armor. The little blue dragon was shocked and rushed toward the Titan armor, but suddenly hit an invisible energy wall and was bounced back. After bouncing the little blue dragon back, the Titan armor inserted the blue giant blade into the ground and returned to its previous position, motionless. At this moment, Yang Tian has been sucked into the space of the Titan armor. This is a dark world without any light. As soon as he entered this space, Yang Tian was shocked to find that he could not move. Chapter 797. What kind of energy was it to be able to imprison a spirit body? While Yang Tianjing was in shock, his consciousness suddenly became blurry. This process was extremely short. When Yang Tian woke up slightly, he found that he had entered the body of an exotic beast that looked very much like a deer. This situation was very similar to when his consciousness was in the little blue dragon's body. He could clearly feel the various nerve reactions of this body. The difference was that no matter what, Yang Tian could not detect the existence of another soul in this body. At the same time, he could not control this body. Also, the sudden occurrence of such a situation made Yang Tian not particularly clear-headed. It was as if he was dreaming. Yang Tian had not dreamed for a long time. This feeling was really great. However, in his heart, Yang Tian was very puzzled and a little nervous, because even if this was a dream, it was not his own dream. In such a dream, he was just a bystander. This kind of exotic beast that looked like a deer was a large group. Their intelligence was not inferior to that of humans, and they lived on a huge island in the Sea of Stars. The exotic beast that Yang Tian was in was a cub of this exotic beast group that had just become sensible. It was like a human child, carefree. The environment of this huge island was not bad. There were many blue plants growing. The exotic beasts living on this island relied on devouring these plants to survive and reproduce. If the situation developed according to normal circumstances, the cub that Yang Tian's consciousness was in would grow into an adult exotic beast under the protection of its parents and other elders. Then, it would find a mate and reproduce the next generation. However, one day the environment on the island suddenly changed greatly in a short period of time. The temperature rose sharply, and a large number of plants withered, causing the exotic beasts living on this island to lack food. As a last resort, the beast group began a great migration. Hundreds and thousands of plant-eating exotic beasts began to cross the Sea of Stars under the leadership of the most powerful exotic beasts to find a new place to live. It had to be said that the beasts in the Star Ocean were naturally very powerful. Even a newborn beast was stronger than a human cultivator in the illusion realm. The old spirit beasts in the lead seemed to have experienced this kind of migration before. Under their lead, they found many new small islands in the Sea of Stars where no spirit beasts lived. During the migration, the most powerful groups of exotic beasts stayed behind one by one. Due to the lack of territory, the weaker groups of exotic beasts could only leave and find new territory. During this process, the cub Yang Tian's consciousness received the care of its parents, as well as its grandparents. It didn't suffer much. Yang Tian felt a strong sense of kinship here, as well as the cohesion of an exotic beast tribe. This was something very rare even in the human world on that continent. After an unknown amount of time, the weakest beast group finally found an island. However, the island was already occupied by other exotic beasts. Moreover, they were carnivorous exotic beasts. Generally, after a battle, less than half of the more than 100,000 beasts were left when they set off. After escaping, the cub Yang Tian's consciousness suddenly found that its grandfather and grandmother, who liked it the most, were gone. This made the cub sad for a while. This cub was still young, but Yang Tian knew clearly that in order to leave, this group of exotic beasts paid a huge price. After the defeat of the beast group, in order to leave, the old exotic beasts had to stay and become food for the carnivorous exotic beasts. The beast group continued to migrate in the vast sea of stars. No one knew when they would find a new territory. After walking out of the familiar sea of stars, the number of beasts began to decline rapidly. Every time the weak beasts encountered a group of powerful carnivorous beasts, they were forced to leave a part of the exotic beasts behind. After paying such a price, they could leave. At this time, Yang Tian finally realized that this seemed to be a rule among the exotic beasts. It was too cruel. Not long after, the exotic beast Yang Tian's consciousness woke up from its sleep and found that its mother had left and never returned. Not long after, the cub's father also disappeared. At this moment, this seemingly clumsy exotic beast finally realized the truth. It learned from a cub that was slightly bigger than it that its missing elders and parents had become food for other exotic beasts. From then on, the cub Yang Tian became silent. There was a maturity in its eyes that didn't match its age. Every time the beast group set off again after a rest, it would walk on the periphery. Finally, it saw the cruel truth with its own eyes. In the cub's heart, a strong desire appeared. It wanted to become stronger so that its tribe would no longer be bullied by other exotic beasts. Also, it wanted to exterminate all the beasts that devoured its kind. In the sea of stars, the weakest exotic beast swore such a vow in its heart. If word of it got out, whether it was exotic beasts or humans, they would probably treat it as a joke. Only Yang Tian, who was in the cub's body, knew how determined this plant-eating cub was. When there were less than 10,000 of these weak beasts left, they finally found an island with a much better environment and a much larger area than before. This place was already far away from the densely packed beast group. No exotic beasts had ever come here before. More importantly, there was an abundance of food here. Even if their numbers were 10,000 times greater, they could still live a carefree life. After finding this place, while the surviving exotic beasts were running around happily, the cub Yang Tian's consciousness was still very silent. It wasn't excited at all. Seeing this place with a better environment than before, it thought of its dead elders and the cruel rules. In order to become stronger, this plant-eating exotic beast kept knocking its horns against the hard rocks while the others of its kind were playing around. This fellow's personality was too similar to the Talisman Master's, because, according to Yang Tian's perception of the passage of time, it actually knocked against rocks that were thousands of years old. Under such unremitting efforts, the day finally came when the powerful bloodline that had been hidden in its body for who knew how many generations and years finally awakened. The awakening of its bloodline directly made this fellow's body several times larger than its peers. Hard scales even grew on its body. It looked like a divine Qilin, or perhaps the genes of the divine Qilin had awakened in its body. After becoming stronger, this exotic beast left the spacious island where it could live without any worries and started fighting everywhere. During this process, this fellow that used to eat plants started eating meat. Eating meat, in addition to eating the beast cores of other exotic beasts, made it stronger and stronger. As for how strong it became, Yang Tian described it in 4 words. Doguchyoba. No matter how famous or powerful the exotic beasts were in the Sea of Stars, it defeated them one by one. In the process of becoming stronger, the strange beast also took human form, broke into the god realm, and directly captured a so-called god, and had him design the giant god armor for it and forge a giant blue saber for it. After the giant god armor and the giant blue saber were forged, who knew how many gods and powerful exotic beasts died under the giant saber? In his lifetime, he took human form and became known as the giant god, fulfilling the vow he had made when he was still a child. During the migration, the beasts that made things difficult and devoured his kind were all wiped out by him. Even their heritage was cut off. No matter how powerful an exotic beast was, its life had an end. In the end, the giant god died. For countless years, his unyielding and persevering spirit remained in the giant god armor. It was precisely because of this spirit in the giant god armor that Yang Tian could see the long life of the giant god. Chapter 798. The life of the giant god had finally come to an end. Although this beast race powerhouse was stronger than the average god in the end, he could not break through the limit of his lifespan. Yang Tian had always wanted to know about the Sea of Stars, and in this long dream, he finally knew everything he wanted to know. The giant god was finished. Then, this dream should also be over, right? However, the strange thing happened again. After the long dream was over, he returned to the beginning of the giant god's strength. It was only after they settled down after a long migration. This time, the giant god's soul was not in this young body, but under the control of Yang Tian. Yang Tian could feel an extremely strong desire to become stronger from the body of this infant. After this change, Yang Tian was already very awake, and he could clearly feel the speed of the air around him. In order to verify whether this was a dream or not, Yang Tian used his head to hit the mountain rock in front of him. It hurt. His head was still a little dizzy. Because of his experience in controlling the dragon body, Yang Tian was very skilled in controlling this body for the first time. As Yang Tian moved, a blurry black humanoid figure suddenly appeared behind him. The black figure was tall and very similar to the human form of the giant god. Its eyes were especially bright, like 2 big light bulbs. The dizzy Yang Tian did not notice that a mysterious black figure had appeared behind him. Very good. You're a beast race? When Yang Tian shook his head and woke up, the black figure let out a very ethereal voice. Yang Tian was shocked and turned around abruptly, and the black figure that surprised him appeared in front of him. Seeing this black figure, Yang Tian felt that it was very familiar. This black figure, could it be the giant god soul? You, answer my question. Yang Tian stared at the huge humanoid figure in a daze. While his mind was constantly guessing, the black figure spoke again, and its tone was very similar to the giant god's. Yang Tian reacted and shook his head. I'm a human, I just have some experience in controlling the body of a beast. You're the giant god? After answering the question of the humanoid shadow, Yang Tian continued to ask. I'm not. The humanoid figure replied. I'm only an artifact spirit manifested from the armor. Although he had never seen it before, Yang Tian had long heard that some divine artifacts had existences similar to spiritual bodies. This was the so-called artifact spirit. Yang Tian's red saber, Saber 15, had a weapon spirit. They weren't produced out of thin air, but rather the life glyph array on the artifact. This kind of exquisite life rune array would usually absorb the will of the owner of the item. After a long period of time, when the life information accumulated to a certain degree, together with the energy of the item itself, the item spirit would be born. The appearance of an artifact spirit was like installing an operating system for an artifact, allowing the artifact it stored to produce incredible abilities. What are you doing here? Also, why am I like this? Can you let me go? The appearance of the artifact's spirit finally made Yang Tian roughly understand why he was here. Faced with Yang Tian's question, the artifact's spirit said, "I'm here to test you and see if you can inherit this set of giant god armor. You can come here because your physical body has been destroyed, and the giant god armor has the effect of detaining spiritual bodies. You're lucky that the giant god armor doesn't have an owner yet. Otherwise, you would have been destroyed. If you want to leave, you can, but you no longer have the chance to get the giant god armor. Are you sure you want to leave here?" Yang Tian certainly hoped to get the giant god armor. He loved this set of armor too much. But this was not something that could be done easily. The power displayed by the giant god armor was even stronger than Kuo Xing's. In other words, in this world, no one could make it yield in a tough way and become its owner. To get the approval of the giant god armor, one must pass the test of the artifact spirit. I want to take the test. So what if I get the armor? It's not just these benefits. Without thinking, Yang Tian immediately made his decision. The artifact spirit said, "You've been with the giant god for a long time. Don't you find one thing strange?" "What is it?" Yang Tian asked. The artifact spirit said, "In the life of the giant god, he experienced countless battles. Through these battles, he comprehended and created many very powerful battle skills. How many of these battle skills have you remembered?" When the artifact spirit said this, Yang Tian was stunned again. In fact, compared to the giant god armor, the battle skills and battle experience that the giant god created in his life were the most precious things. They were even more precious than the giant god armor. Yang Tian's experience in that dream was still very clear, but now that he thought about it carefully, he could still remember many details clearly. Only the battle skills that the giant god created, he couldn't remember. Yang Tian shook his head. "I don't remember any of them." The artifact spirit said, "If you pass the test, these powerful battle skills will be imprinted in your mind. Every time you become stronger, the corresponding battle skills will appear in your mind. Correspondingly, the giant god's battle experience will also appear in your mind." When the artifact spirit said this, Yang Tian was so excited that he couldn't wait to start the test immediately. However, there was still a question lingering in his mind. When the artifact spirit finished, he couldn't help but ask, "I'm just a spirit body. How can I restore my physical body?" When Yang Tian asked this question, the artifact spirit said, "You'll know when the time comes." This sentence gave birth to a glimmer of hope in Yang Tian's heart. He wondered if this armor could restore his physical body. After Yang Tian cultivated to the destiny realm, he had a deeper understanding of the profound meaning of life. As long as he spent some time and borrowed the flesh of the little blue dragon, he would be able to regain his physical body. However, this would cause a certain amount of harm to the little blue dragon. Last time, in order to let Yang Tian regain his physical body, the little blue dragon had expended a lot of energy, and it took a long time to recover. "Any more questions?" the artifact spirit suddenly asked. Yang Tian shook his head. "No." The artifact spirit said, "Then, let the test begin. The content of the test is to use your head to bore through this stone mountain in front of you." Hearing that it was actually the training method used by the giant god, Yang Tian couldn't help but cry out in surprise. This was simply too perverted. Although Yang Tian had seen the giant god's previous experience, he had watched it as a bystander after all. At that time, he didn't feel the slightest pain. But now it was different. Just now, when he hit it, he felt dizzy. It would take thousands of years to break through this stone mountain. Not to mention hitting the mountain every day for thousands of years. Even if he stayed here all the time, it would drive him crazy. Chapter 799. Seeing Yang Tian's hesitation, the artifact spirit said, "Did you know? Before you, there were already more than 11,000 living beings who had undergone this test. But in the end, none of them succeeded. Why? Yang Tian asked. If they persevered, it would be equivalent to receiving the inheritance of the giant god and becoming the most powerful creature in the world. Why did they give up? The artifact spirit said, "It's easy to say, but it's very difficult to do." Less than 1% of those 11,000 creatures persevered to the middle stage. In the end, they felt that if they continued, they would rather die immediately. Did they die? Yang Tian asked curiously after the item spirit finished speaking. The artifact spirit said, if they didn't complete the test, there was only one outcome, and that was death. Yang Tian smiled and said, "Is it too late for me to regret now? Are you sure you want to give up?" The artifact spirit asked. This question gave Yang Tian a deep chill in his heart. Yang Tian knew that it was too late to regret now. If he wanted to live, there was no other way except to complete the test. Looking at the stone mountain in front of him, Yang Tian's eyes became firm. "I'll wait for you." After saying this, the artifact spirit disappeared, leaving only the howling of the wind, which seemed especially lonely. Yang Tian gritted his teeth and slammed his head against the stone wall in front of him. Although the two horns on his head were hard, they only left a shallow scratch on the stone. After 100 consecutive slams, Yang Tian couldn't hold on anymore and had to stop to rest. At this time, blood seeped out from the roots of the two horns on his head, and the two horns became wobbly. The giant god had encountered this situation before, and after 100 initial slams, the horns had loosened. Yang Tian endured the pain and slammed the mountain rock with all his strength. The two antle-like horns fell off from the impact, and a large amount of blood flowed out from the two holes. Although there were countless species of beasts in the Sea of Stars, they originated from a few powerful divine beasts. Although they were the weakest beasts in the universe, they still had the bloodlines of divine beasts in their veins. Before activating the divine beast bloodline, although this body was weak, its recovery ability was extremely strong. Soon, the bleeding stopped and a new horn slowly grew out. While the horns were growing, Yang Tian controlled this body to eat on the nearby grass to replenish his energy. Yang Tian didn't know how much time had passed, but he felt that the horn had grown back in about 3 days. The new horns were thicker and harder than before. After he was ready, Yang Tian controlled the beast body and began to hit the mountain rocks again. The new horns were much more efficient than the previous ones. When they were broken again, a hole about 3 inches deep appeared. Seeing this shallow depression, Yang Tian felt a sense of accomplishment. Now he had to endure the pain of the broken horn again. Doing it personally and watching from the sidelines felt completely different to the passage of time. When he was watching from the sidelines, Yang Tian felt that time passed very quickly. But now, the passage of time seemed to have slowed down by 100 times. The islands in the Sea of Stars also had changes in the light. This was because there was a kind of tree growing on the islands. This kind of tree, if translated into Chinese, could be called a luminous tree. It was common on the islands in the Sea of Stars. This kind of tree would emit bright light and generate heat. This process took a certain amount of time. When most of this kind of tree was emitting light and heat, it was day. Otherwise, it was night. Based on Yang Tian's observation, the length of day and night was about the same, probably around 20 to 25 hours. In other words, the time of day and night here was about twice as long as on Earth. Exotic beasts that fed on plants would never touch these trees if they didn't have anything to eat. Usually, they would even add nutrients to them. Time passed slowly just like that. In the beginning, Yang Tian would still record the time. But not long after, he gave up this practice, because it would feel that time was passing slower. 1 day, 10 days, 100 days, time passed slowly. Yang Tian couldn't even remember how many times he had changed the horns. The stone mountain had already been smashed open by him, creating a cave of about 10 meters. The horns on his head were also more than 10 times stronger than before. In the beginning, he would change the horns after 100 or so collisions, and then hundreds of collisions. At this time, when the cave was about a meter deep, he would change the horns again. The interval between the horns would become longer and longer. The horns became harder, and the process of digging became smoother and smoother. At this time, what tormented Yang Tian was no longer the pain of his body, but loneliness. The foolish old man moving mountains still had his children and grandchildren to accompany him, but Yang Tian was alone. Who knew how many years had passed? After digging a cave that was about 100 meters long, Yang Tian's heart was like those who had taken the test before. He couldn't wait to die immediately and end everything in front of him. Although Yang Tian understood that this was a demon in his heart. But when he thought of his parents, Qin Fei, and the son he hadn't seen for a long time, Yang Tian gritted his teeth and persevered. At this time, he finally understood why the Talisman Master and the Giant God had such great abilities. It was because they had endured pain that ordinary people couldn't bear. The flow of time here was obviously different from outside. Maybe 10,000 years had passed here, but it was only an instant outside. Although those who had experienced this kind of test all understood this, they still failed in the end. The reason, in addition to loneliness, was that the mountain rocks were getting harder and harder. When a passage of hundreds of meters was carved out of the stone mountain, the color of the stone began to change from grayish-white to black. The speed of the excavation slowed down. Sometimes it would take several days to advance 1 meter. And after the black stone layer, there was a blue stone layer behind, which was dozens of kilometers long. This length would make people despair. It was like extracting water from the ocean drop by drop, not knowing when it would end. But at this time, Yang Tian suddenly noticed that a strange energy was born in the body of this exotic beast. This was the power of the bloodline. After working hard for so many years, the bloodline power in this body finally showed signs of awakening. After sensing this energy, Yang Tian no longer felt lonely. He would multitask, trying to use his consciousness to control this energy while striking the black stone layer. And this bloodline power played a game of hide-and-seek with Yang Tian. As soon as Yang Tian's consciousness approached it, it would run away. Under these continuous attempts, time passed very quickly for Yang Tian. Perhaps Yang Tian didn't know, but the artifact spirit had already come here and seen him several times. This was because Yang Tian was the first living being to discover the bloodline power and accept the test. This might be related to Yang Tian's cultivation experience, or because Yang Tian had cultivated origin power and mental power. As time passed, the bloodline power slowly grew stronger, and its resistance to Yang Tian's consciousness became weaker and weaker. Sensing all this, the artifact spirit knew that Yang Tian was about to succeed. In fact, this test wasn't just a test of endurance and willpower. Instead, it was a test of whether the living being tested was suitable to inherit what the giant god left behind. This bloodline power was the key. Chapter 800. Because there was no record of time, after an unknown amount of time, Yang Tian was finally able to control the bloodline power in his body. This bloodline power actually contained a method to cultivate the physical body. When Yang Tian's consciousness could fully control this bloodline power, this cultivation method automatically appeared in Yang Tian's mind. According to the cultivation method, Yang Tian controlled the bloodline power and circulated it throughout his body. It was obvious that when Yang Tian started cultivating, the strength of this body had increased by a lot, and the horns had also become tougher. Although he was already in the black stone layer, his speed was faster than ever before, and as his strength increased, his speed became faster and faster. Ever since he discovered the bloodline power and could cultivate, Yang Tian was full of hope for the future. He knew that this kind of test was no longer difficult for him. This beast body grew bigger and bigger as its strength continued to increase. When its body reached a length of more than 10 meters, the yellow fur on the surface of its body fell off, and black scales grew out. The color of its horns also changed, becoming pitch black and emitting a cold metallic luster. At this time, the strength of this body was at least 10,000 times stronger than before. Boom, boom, boom. At this time, every time Yang Tian hit the black stone in front of him, the entire mountain would tremble and let out a rumbling sound. Lines of Li or runes began to extend from the point of impact, spreading across the entire mountain. It seemed that the entire mountain would collapse before Yang Tian could make a passage through it. Of course, this was also a long process. This situation was completely different from the situation in Yang Tian's dream. At the very least, the speed at which this body became stronger was faster than the giant god's. This might be because Yang Tian had cultivation experience, while the giant god back then only wanted to become stronger and did not have much cultivation experience. When he realized that the mountain was slowly crumbling, Yang Tian no longer deliberately pursued it and wanted to make a passage through the mountain. Instead, he wanted to flatten the mountain. From this moment on, Yang Tian began to record the time again. Before there was any hope, if he kept track of time every day, he would feel that time was getting longer and longer. As the days passed, he would feel more and more uncomfortable. At this time, Yang Tian was recording the time so that he could clearly see the changes in this body's strength at every stage. Unknowingly, another few hundred years had passed. This exotic beast's body had already grown to a length of 100 meters and a height of dozens of meters. The bloodline power in the exotic beast's body had been completely awakened. Now, the appearance of this beast's body was very different from before. It was exactly the same as the true form of the giant god when he was powerful. Finally, it was the final moment. Boom, boom, boom. The incessant crashing sounds were even louder than thunder. Within a radius of thousands of miles, the ground was shaking along with Yang Tian's impact. After thousands of years of reproduction, the number of exotic beasts that belonged to the same tribe as this exotic beast had increased by tens of thousands of times. At this moment, almost all of the exotic beasts had gathered around the stone mountain. Looking at the enormous exotic beast in front of them that had already changed its appearance and originated from the same tribe, these exotic beasts had extremely complicated feelings. Especially the elderly exotic beasts from the same era as the giant god. In the past, they had mocked the giant god, but now they finally understood that they were the ones who were laughing. Yang Tian ignored those exotic beasts. All of his attention was placed on the enormous, 1,000-meter-tall stone mountain in front of him. After countless collisions, this stone mountain was on the verge of collapse. Yang Tian stood at the foot of the stone mountain, 1,000 meters away, quietly standing there for a long time. Only one more collision was needed, and this stone mountain would shatter. At this moment, Yang Tian was accumulating power, preparing for the final blow. Under the gazes of many exotic beasts, Yang Tian suddenly moved. His enormous body suddenly disappeared. In the next moment there was a loud boom. At this moment, the entire island began to tremble. Affected, the originally glowing trees suddenly went out, and the day turned into night. The enormous stone mountain shattered, and Yang Tian's enormous body formed a huge canyon wherever he passed. It's finally done. When the resistance on his head completely disappeared, Yang Tian knew that he had completed the artifact spirit's test. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Although the flow of time here was different from the outside world, Yang Tian had indeed experienced thousands of years here. If he hadn't discovered a trace of bloodline power in his body, finally controlled this power, and began to cultivate, he would probably have stayed here for thousands of years. Congratulations, you've passed the test. Now, the giant god armor is yours. Just as Yang Tian was sighing with emotion, suddenly, his vision went dark, and the artifact spirit's ethereal voice sounded in his ears. At the same time, a strong wave of sleepiness hit him. Although he was a spiritual body, Yang Tian still needed to rest at this time. The sleeping Yang Tian did not dream anymore. In his deep sleep, he had never felt so comfortable. After an unknown period of time, when Yang Tian felt satisfied, he opened his eyes. As soon as he woke up, Yang Tian had a very powerful feeling. At the same time, the little blue dragon appeared in his line of sight. At this time, the little blue dragon looked at Yang Tian with a vigilant gaze. Xiaolong, Yang Tian saw the little blue dragon and couldn't help but speak. At this time, the voice he made was completely different from before. At this time, his voice was very loud. As soon as he spoke, Yang Tian's entire body went numb, and immediately, his entire body was filled with warmth. This was the warmth from his soul. Physical body. Yang Tian was surprised to find that his physical body had actually recovered. Not only had he recovered, but he had also become very huge. He was 10 meters tall and was wearing the giant god armor. It seemed that the artifact's spirit made sense when he told Yang Tian not to worry about his physical body. After waking up, Yang Tian had a powerful physical body. Although Yang Tian's voice was different from before, the little blue dragon felt a familiar aura from Yang Tian's current body as soon as he spoke. After Yang Tian's spiritual body was sucked away by the giant god armor, the little blue dragon was very worried. He attacked the giant god armor several times, but he was blocked. More than half a day passed quickly, and the little blue dragon became more and more worried. Unexpectedly, a dark red light flashed in the giant god armor, and then a huge physical body appeared in the armor. Seeing that Yang Tian had woken up and had a physical body, although the little blue dragon did not know what happened after Yang Tian was sucked away, he was happy for Yang Tian at this time. The cheerful little blue dragon could not help but pounce on Yang Tian. Yang Tian moved his hand, but unexpectedly, there was a crisp crack sound from his arm, and it actually broke. Boom! The huge little blue dragon pounced on Yang Tian. At this time, the armor did not stop it from approaching. Yang Tian, who could not move, was directly thrown to the ground by the little blue dragon. This fall, Yang Tian's whole body was in pain. Just as Yang Tian was depressed and puzzled, the artifact spirit's voice sounded again. Too much time has passed, the blood of the giant god has exhausted its energy. Now you have to replenish your energy to restore this body's vitality. After the artifact spirit finished speaking, the word scam appeared in Yang Tian's mind. Chapter 801. At the last moment, when he was about to obtain great power, the result was Yang Tian, who had fallen to the ground, felt the armor on his body become heavier and heavier. His newly obtained body was in incomparable pain at first, then it started to become numb. His spirit body had a physical body, and it felt as comfortable and safe as a fetus in its mother's body. And at this time, Yang Tian gradually felt that his soul was starting to feel insecure again. The happy little blue dragon did not expect that Yang Tian, who it felt was incomparably powerful, would actually be pushed to the ground by it, and the sound of bones cracking could be heard from his body. Immediately after, Yang Tian's body, which was wrapped in armor, started to melt. This kind of change was exactly the same as the cultivators that Yang Tian killed with his origin power. At this time, Yang Tian could no longer speak, because his body had not completely collapsed, and his spirit body could not leave this huge body. This made Yang Tian very unwilling, but he could not do anything. When the little blue dragon saw Yang Tian's change, it thought and guessed the reason for the change in Yang Tian's body. If it was other cultivators, they would not be able to understand when they saw this situation. But the little blue dragon and Yang Tian already had experience in this kind of situation. Without hesitation, the little blue dragon used its claw to scratch its forehead, and a large drop of bright red dragon blood seeped out from the little blue dragon's forehead, dripping onto Yang Tian's face. After advancing to the Destiny Realm, the quality of the blood essence of the little blue dragon was several times higher than before. When it came into contact with Yang Tian's skin, it immediately seeped in. Immediately, the energy in the blood essence spread throughout Yang Tian's body. With the support of this drop of blood essence, the melting speed of Yang Tian's body immediately slowed down. However, the energy of one drop of blood essence was clearly not enough. This was 1/10 of the energy crystal of the little blue dragon's body. Because his body had not shrunk, this drop of blood was extremely large. If one drop wasn't enough, then 2, 3. The little blue dragon continuously forced out drops of essence blood. By the time it reached the 6th drop of essence blood, the little blue dragon's spirit had already become extremely dispirited. Even moving the dragon whiskers by his lips seemed to be very strenuous. Unable to hold on any longer, it began to fall into a short slumber. The little blue dragon's sacrifice had finally given Yang Tian a new lease on life. Although the 6 drops of dragon blood essence did not make Yang Tian's body as strong as the body of the giant god, it did stabilize it. I didn't expect you to have a divine beast. Its essence and blood could perfectly fuse with the giant god's flesh and blood. Now, the flesh and blood of the giant god had condensed into bones, and the newly added blood essence of the divine beast had become flesh. As long as you continue to grow stronger in the future and perfectly fuse the 2 types of flesh and blood together, you might even be stronger than the giant god's former body. When Yang Tian's body stabilized, the voice of the artifact spirit once again sounded from the armor. When it finished speaking, a lot of information suddenly appeared in Yang Tian's mind. This was the information that controlled the armor and the blue giant saber. At this time, Yang Tian suddenly felt that the artifact spirit in the armor seemed to be leaving. Sure enough, after the artifact spirit had arranged everything, it said to Yang Tian, "The reason why I have always existed is because of the support of the will of the giant god. Now that I have completed the will of the giant god before his death, I will also disappear. Can you not go? If you stay, you will be of great help to me." After the artifact spirit finished its farewell, Yang Tian asked somewhat helplessly. However, the artifact spirit did not answer him, because after saying those words, it dissipated. The disappearance of the artifact spirit of the giant god armor was still a great loss to the giant god armor. However, this armor had a wonderful array glyph. As long as Yang Tian wore it for a long time, after absorbing Yang Tian's spirit, it would give birth to a new artifact spirit. One day, when Yang Tian no longer needed this armor to fight and wanted to pass it on, then the artifact spirit born from Yang Tian's will would find a new owner for this armor under Yang Tian's will. With the help of the little blue dragon, Yang Tian once again had a new physical body. This time, his body was several times stronger than before, or even dozens of times stronger. If he had had such a powerful physical body before, Yang Tian would have been able to withstand the violent energy produced by the black hole chain. The little blue dragon still had a lot of reserves in its stomach. In its deep sleep, it subconsciously took out the leaves from the world tree from its storage space and turned them into its own energy. Although the leaves of the world tree did not contain as much energy as the beast cores of the exotic beasts in the Sea of Stars, they had a miraculous effect in regulating the body's functions. When the little blue dragon replenished Yang Tian's essence blood, not only did it consume the energy in its body, but it also consumed its essence qi. Getting up from the ground, Yang Tian checked on the little blue dragon. Seeing that the little blue dragon's aura had stabilized and that the life aura it emitted had become stronger and stronger from its weak state, Yang Tian finally relaxed. He closed his eyes and began to digest the information he had obtained from the artifact spirit of the armor. That information was all about how to control the giant god armor, as well as the blue saber that came with it. Compared to advanced cultivation techniques, this kind of information was really too simple. In less than 10 minutes, Yang Tian understood. Immediately, he made a move with his mind. A gurgling sound came from Yang Tian's body. Then, Yang Tian's body began to shrink. Yang Tian's body could shrink, which was not strange, but the armor and the blue saber that could shrink were very rare. The change lasted less than a minute, and Yang Tian returned to his previous size. With the black armor on his body, he was more than 2 meters tall, and the blue saber he had been holding in his hand had also become the size of 15. If it were not for the different color and hilt, when the two sabers were placed together, people would think that they were made by the same craftsman. The giant god armor and the blue saber had shrunk to their current size, but they had not reached their limit. They could both become as big as a palm and be carried around. In this way, although they could not be stored in the storage space, it was very convenient for Yang Tian to use them. He did not have to wear the armor all the time. Curious, Yang Tian experimented. With a move of his mind, the armor on his body suddenly separated from Yang Tian's body, and like magnets attracted to each other, they instantly combined together, forming a rectangular black iron block smaller than a palm, suspended in front of Yang Tian. Not only the giant god armor, but the blue saber, which was originally 8 or 9 meters long, had also become a small saber, held in the palm of Yang Tian's hand. This saber could be used as a flying saber at critical moment. At this time, it was not only Yang Tian who had regained his physical body, but also Kuang Xing. With the flesh and blood that had been stored here before, plus enough energy, Kuang Xing also quickly had a new body. However, Kuang Xing was not happy at this time. This was because his premonition had actually come true. Even though he had abandoned his original body and was reborn with pure flesh and blood that had not been contaminated by the god's blood, the energy of the god's blood had actually appeared in this new body. I haven't recovered from my cold yet, so I will only have 1 chapter today and 3 chapters tomorrow. Chapter 802. 3 chapters combined into 1, 6,000 words. Why is this happening? In one of the inconspicuous pyramids among the tens of thousands of pyramids, Kuxing, who had recovered his physical body, roared to the sky. Next to him was Chen Guoxingyang, who was terrified. If he fell into Kuxing's hands, he would not have a good ending. Chen Guoxingyang was already prepared to die. But when he saw Kuxing's crazed look, he could not help but be afraid. After venting his anger, Kuxing flashed in front of Chen Guoxingyang, reached out and grabbed Chen Guoxingyang's neck. At this time, Chen Guoxingyang realized that he could move. Tell me, where is Yang Tian now? Kuxing looked at the terrified Chen Guoxingyang and asked coldly. I don't know. Chen Guoxingyang said forcefully. I was also forced by Yang Tian. If I did not agree, he would kill me. Also, it was you who brought me here. Chen Guoxingyang was telling the truth. Bam! But before he could finish, he was thrown against the stone wall by Kuxing, making a muffled sound. Chen Guoxingyang endured the pain all over his body, gritted his teeth, and slowly stood up with his back against the wall. You get out now. If you appear, Yang Tian will definitely appear. Kuxing glanced at Chen Guoxingyang and said lightly. Chen Guoxingyang was finally relieved when he heard what Kuxing said. Because he was still useful to Kuxing. If Yang Tian really appeared, Kuxing would definitely go and deal with Yang Tian. At that time, he might have a chance to leave. All right. After a few thoughts, Chen Guoxingyang immediately nodded, turned, and walked toward the entrance of the pyramid. As he walked, Chen Guoxingyang would look back from time to time. He was not afraid that Kuxing would go back on his words and suddenly kill him. But in this tower there were many cultivation techniques. Perhaps the lost techniques of the Chenggu family were among them. Even in such a dangerous situation, Chen Guoxingyang did not forget the responsibility of his family. The Yang Tian shrunk and enlarged the giant blue saber and put them back on. After 3 times, Yang Tian finally stopped. He had a stronger physical body, stronger armor, and more powerful weapons. However, in order to drive them and let them play their roles in battle, he had to have a lot of energy. Yang Tian could only use the energy in his body. Compared to the energy stored in the energy world, this energy was too little. He didn't know if it could support him in a fight with Kuang Xing. Yang Tian looked at the little blue dragon. He leaned on the 1-meter-long blue saber in his hand and sat on the ground, deep in thought. Yang Tian vaguely felt that his energy world was not destroyed, but under the violent energy of the black hole chains, his consciousness had lost contact with the energy world. As long as he could think of a way, he might be able to find the energy world. One had to know that the last time his physical body was destroyed, leaving only his consciousness, which was his spirit body, his energy world still existed. Thinking of this, Yang Tian couldn't help but have a glimmer of hope in his heart. Of course, the results of hope and reality were often different. If he couldn't find it, or if the original realm was really destroyed, Yang Tian thought of this possibility. Although he was discouraged, he didn't despair. If the energy world was gone, he could just cultivate it back. After going through such a long test, Yang Tian's willpower had become countless times stronger. Time passed quickly while he was thinking quietly. Before he knew it, more than 4 hours had passed. After a period of recuperation, the little azure dragon finally opened its eyes. Yang Tian had been paying attention to the little blue dragon. When the little blue dragon woke up, Yang Tian saw the expression in the little blue dragon's eyes. He knew that the little blue dragon had almost recovered. He couldn't help but smile happily. The little blue dragon was also very happy to see that Yang Tian was fine and had regained a powerful physical body. Yang Tian and the little blue dragon couldn't help but play for a while. This time, the little blue dragon helped Yang Tian a lot. If it wasn't for the little blue dragon providing him with essence blood, Yang Tian would probably have to wait a long time to recover his physical body. And this was the time when Yang Tian needed a physical body. Between Yang Tian and Kuang Xing, only one of them could leave here alive this time. Without a physical body, the little blue dragon obviously couldn't defeat Kuang Xing. Yang Tian. The little blue dragon turned back into a mini dragon and landed on Yang Tian's shoulder. When Yang Tian was about to go to the next pyramid with the help of the strange program, Qing Wu Xingyang's roar suddenly came from outside. This roar was made by Qing Wu Xingyang with his most powerful strength. As long as Yang Tian was still on the giant rock suspended in the void, he would be able to hear it. Hearing Qing Wu Xingyang's roar, Yang Tian frowned. He knew that Qing Wu Xingyang did this on purpose. The purpose was to tell him that Kuang Xing had recovered his combat strength. This kind of pyramid had a talisman array that hid aura. Even if Yang Tian left a strand of spiritual power in Qing Wu Xingyang's body, as long as Qing Wu Xingyang entered the pyramid, Yang Tian wouldn't be able to sense his location. At this time, as long as Yang Tian walked to the entrance of the pyramid and left the range of the talisman array energy, he would know Qing Wu Xingyang's exact location. Of course, Kuang Xing would also be waiting for him there. This was undoubtedly a signal for Kuang Xing to declare war on Yang Tian. Although Yang Tian's current physical body wasn't completely composed of the bloodline of the giant god, it still affected Yang Tian. Unconsciously, a strong fighting spirit gradually ignited in Yang Tian's heart, an uncontrollable fighting spirit. As soon as this fighting spirit appeared, it became stronger and stronger, making Yang Tian excited and unwilling to suppress it. Yang Tian felt that if he didn't go out and experience a great battle at this time, his whole body would be incinerated by this fighting spirit. In the past, the giant god grew step by step in adversity. Through constant battles, he became stronger and stronger. Even when facing opponents stronger than himself, he never retreated. It was because of this fighting spirit that the giant god became stronger and stronger. In the end, it was difficult to find a match in the vast sea of stars. As soon as he thought of the situation he encountered in the dream, Yang Tian gritted his teeth and said, "Xiao Long, my saber." The little blue dragon opened its mouth and spat out the red long saber 15. Putting this saber into the storage space, although it didn't affect the little blue dragon, it had killed a dragon before. At the thought of this, the little blue dragon felt very uncomfortable and couldn't wait to return the saber to Yang Tian immediately. At the same time, the little blue dragon also spat out Yang Tian's 2 storage bracelet. Yang Tian shrank the blue saber that came with the giant god armor and put it into a small storage space in the vambrace. Carrying the red long saber, he walked out of the gap cut by the blue saber. As soon as he left the pyramid, Yang Tian's aura spread out. At the same time, Yang Tian also sensed the location of Qing Wu Xingyang. It was about 100 kilometers away from where Yang Tian was now. Yang Tian's figure moved, and with a whoosh, he disappeared in place. When he reappeared in the next moment, he was already several kilometers away. Yang Tian finally realized the benefits of the giant god armor. The space glyph array on it actually allowed him to perform short-distance space jump. This ability seemed to be a means that only soul travel realm cultivators could use. Of course, this kind of space jump was extremely energy-consuming. Losing contact with the energy world and being unable to use the energy in the energy world made Yang Tian feel like he didn't dare to use his full strength, because he didn't know how long the energy in this new body would allow him to fight Kuang Xing. Even so, the feeling of moving freely made Yang Tian not hesitate to perform a few short-distance space jumps, and appeared less than a kilometer away from Qing Wu Xingyang. At this time, Yang Tian not only sensed Qing Wu Xingyang, but also knew where Kuang Xing was. Kuang Xing was waiting for Yang Tian's arrival, so naturally, he wouldn't hide his aura. When Yang Tian stopped, Kuang Xing also appeared in front of Yang Tian. Kuang Xing's appearance, compared to before, had not changed much. Wearing a white robe, he stood at the top of a pyramid, looking at Yang Tian expressionlessly. Kuang Xing was not surprised that Yang Tian had a new body. He had encountered Yang Tian several times, and the miracles that had happened to Yang Tian were too many. And every time, Yang Tian's combat strength would be stronger than before. If he wasn't Yang Tian's enemy, Kuang Xing would definitely exclaim that Yang Tian was a true cultivation genius. The giant god armor on Yang Tian's body suddenly gave Kuang Xing a familiar feeling in the bottom of his heart, and a faint trace of fear appeared. How could this be? Kuang Xing's face was calm, but his heart was extremely disturbed. He thought carefully, but couldn't remember where he had seen Yang Tian's armor. The giant god armor had been sent here by the Wuji Temple long ago. Before that, in the vast sea of stars, it had been wandering for who knows how many years. Kuang Xing couldn't have seen everything here. In other words, before this, Kuang Xing really hadn't seen the giant god armor. Convinced of this, Kuang Xing's heart gave birth to a trace of worry. Because he hadn't seen it before, then, the spiritual body of the god that was lurking in his spiritual body, influencing his will, had encountered this set of armor. It was also possible that the spiritual body had suffered a great loss in front of the previous owner of this set of armor, or even been killed. Kuang Xing's mind raced and quickly came to this conclusion. Of course, he knew that this was just a guess. As for the truth, unless the hidden spiritual body of the god appeared and was willing to answer his questions, he wouldn't know. This seemed impossible, because that wisp of spiritual body seemed to be incomplete. Kuang Xing raised his guard against the current Yang Tian and the armor on Yang Tian's body. He had been unable to do anything to Yang Tian several times, and each time, Yang Tian's combat strength was stronger than before. Now, looking at Yang Tian and the giant god armor on Yang Tian's body, Kuang Xing's previous confidence in killing Yang Tian was slowly dissipating. This was a bad sign. How could he be discouraged before fighting with the enemy? Suddenly, Kuang Xing's eyes flashed, and then he moved. The way to preserve his momentum was to immediately attack. Chen Wuxingyang was also not far away. After Yang Tian arrived, he cast an apologetic look at Yang Tian because he had been forced to do so. But Yang Tian didn't even look at him, focusing all his attention on Kuang Xing. Kuang Xing was naturally the same. Being ignored by the two of them, Chen Wuxingyang felt relieved, but at the same time, he also felt humiliated. This was because he wasn't strong enough. What he didn't know was that Yang Tian knew of his existence as soon as he arrived. Yang Tian didn't even look at him because he wanted to focus on facing Kuang Xing. Also, this was Yang Tian's way of protecting him. Yang Tian didn't care much about Chen Wuxingyang's life or death, but he didn't let Chen Wuxingyang and Kuang Xing die together. Of course, he didn't want Chen Wuxingyang to die here. Otherwise, wouldn't his previous abandonment be in vain? This was Yang Tian's mentality as a powerhouse. Although Yang Tian hadn't cultivated to the same level as Kuang Xing, his state of mind had unknowingly reached the same height as Kuang Xing. He couldn't use his mind power now, but with the giant god armor on him and his new body that was at least 10 times stronger than before, Yang Tian's reaction speed had also increased by many times. As soon as Kuang Xing moved, Yang Tian clearly knew the trajectory of Kuang Xing's movement. Although his body was new, with enough energy replenishment, Kuang Xing's combat strength was now at its peak. In almost the blink of an eye, Kuang Xing appeared above Yang Tian's head. At this moment, Kuang Xing, who was originally empty-handed, was holding a large black saber. The saber was 2 meters long, thicker than a palm, and about a foot wide. It had a very small arc and looked very heavy. After arriving above Yang Tian's head, Kuang Xing slashed at Yang Tian with the saber. This heavy saber wasn't simple. When it slashed down, although it didn't release any sharp saber chi, the surrounding space suddenly became much thicker. This was the effect of the talisman array on the black saber. When it was activated, it would change the surrounding spatial energy and imprison the target of the attack. If one couldn't resist this kind of spatial imprisonment, they could only resist it. If they couldn't resist it, then they could only wait to be hacked to death. The strange program had returned to Yang Tian and established contact with Yang Tian. When the saber created the spatial imprisonment, the strange program also reminded Yang Tian that if Yang Tian acted immediately, he could avoid it. However, for some reason, Yang Tian didn't move at all, allowing the spatial energy around him to change. If he missed the opportunity, it would be difficult to avoid it. Although he didn't understand why he did this, Yang Tian didn't think too much about it and focused on fighting. At this moment, Yang Tian's heart actually gave birth to a strong sense of confidence. In the process of battle, the giant god rarely dodged his opponent's attack. This was because he had a special growth experience. He broke open a stone mountain. Of course, such a perverted training method also created a perverted will and a perverted body. Roar, under the strong sense of confidence, Yang Tian unconsciously raised his head and roared. At the same time, a powerful energy erupted from Yang Tian's body. This was more powerful than the explosive power that Kuang Xing used to escape Yang Tian's restraint. Ping, there was a loud noise. Kuang Xing's black saber hit the energy that erupted from Yang Tian's body and was actually bounced back. Moreover, it wasn't just the saber, even Kuang Xing was sent flying. The spatial shackles created by the black broadsword also shattered after this loud noise. Although the two fought very briefly, Chen Wuxingyang still saw it clearly. At this time, he was so surprised that his mouth was wide open. Not only Chen Wuxingyang, but even the little blue dragon, who was watching the battle and ready to help Yang Tian at any time, also opened his dragon eyes wide. Yang Tian was so powerful that with a roar, he sent Kuang Xing flying. At this time, Yang Tian gave it a strange feeling. Was this still Yang Tian? He was simply the legendary demon god. Little Blue Dragon, Chengwu Xingyang, and Kuang Xing, who was sent flying, didn't know that the energy that erupted from Yang Tian's body actually had little to do with Yang Tian. This was an automatic reaction of the armor after it sensed danger. One must know that when Little Blue Dragon and Yang Tian first encountered the Titan armor erupted with powerful energy. This was actually the energy stored in the Titan armor when he was alive. This kind of energy was different from pure energy. It could be described as battle energy. This was also another function of the Titan armor. After Kuang Xing was sent flying, he quickly rolled in the air and landed on the ground with great difficulty. Although he was sent flying, Kuang Xing was not injured. However, he didn't know why, but the fear in his heart actually became stronger. This fear seemed to have always existed in the bottom of his heart, and it began to awaken at this time. Kuang Xing understood that if he didn't get rid of Yang Tian as soon as possible, this trace of fear in his heart would become stronger and stronger, and in the end it might destroy his will. Gritting his teeth, Kuang Xing tightened his grip on the black broadsword in his hand. At this time, he didn't immediately attack Yang Tian, but began to accumulate power. A buzzing sound could be heard. The heavy black broadsword in Kuang Xing's hand actually trembled, and the hidden runes on it lit up with a blood-red light. It looked like the broadsword had grown capillaries, a powerful spatial confinement force, with the black broadsword as the center, spread out to the surrounding area. Kuang Xing was preparing for the final attack. There were two extremes in a battle between experts. One was a battle that lasted for an extremely long time, and could be described as a protracted battle. Whether it was Yang Tian's original universe world or the current one, such things had happened. A battle that lasted for several years. Compared to a protracted battle, which was a rare way of fighting, it was more common to determine the winner in a very short time. Kuang Xing knew that he couldn't fight with the current Yang Tian for a long time, so he was preparing for the final attack. This attack, Kuang Xing would use his strongest power, and integrate all his life's learning and understanding of battle into it. This would also be the most powerful attack he had ever used in his life. While Kuang Xing was preparing, Yang Tian was holding on. Although Yang Tian wasn't hurt by Kuang Xing's energy explosion just now, after that, there was an extremely uncomfortable feeling of emptiness all over his body. This feeling of emptiness made him feel as if he couldn't exert any strength. Yang Tian knew that the energy just now was the energy carried by the armor itself, and was left behind by the giant god. From this point, it could also be seen how powerful the giant god was at that time. The battle energy he left behind when he was alive was only a small part of himself, and this small part, after who knows how many years, was lost until there was only a drop in the ocean left. It was this drop in battle energy, when it erupted, it could actually send Kuang Xing flying. Unfortunately, there wasn't much energy stored in the armor anymore, and it was impossible for it to erupt again like before. Yang Tian knew that he would soon face Kuang Xing's strongest and final attack. This battle would completely determine the winner and loser, and between him and Kuang Xing, only one could survive. A grinding sound was heard. Yang Tian's mind moved, and the mask on the helmet was put down. At this time, Yang Tian's whole body was wrapped in the black giant armor. As soon as the mask was put down, Yang Tian closed his eyes. Although he might not be able to defeat Kuang Xing, he would never back down. At this moment, Yang Tian saw Kuang Xing as the stone mountain in the test. Buzz buzz buzz, red knife 15 in Yang Tian's hand also trembled. At this time, Yang Tian transferred the remaining battle energy of the giant god in the armor, as well as all the energy in his current body, into 15. In a moment, with a boom, the trembling 15 actually burst into flames. Unlike before, 15 actually released a faint blue flame, which looked like a will-o'-the-wisp. This blue flame didn't produce an extremely high temperature, and it was extremely cold. At the same time, a mournful wail came from the blade. The blue flame quickly spread along the blade to Yang Tian's arm, and then to Yang Tian's whole body. Wrapped in the blue flame, Yang Tian truly became a demon god. The first to move was still Kuang Xing. There was a soft shout, but what was faster than his voice was the black blade in his hand. This blade was many times more powerful than before. A black light was emitted from the blade and pierced into the sky, falling toward the top of Yang Tian's head. The spatial confinement was even more powerful than before, and it had already shrouded the surrounding hundreds of meters. Not only Yang Tian, but even Kuang Xing himself couldn't move at high speed. This was the effect that Kuang Xing wanted. He wanted to use this blade to completely determine the victor between him and Yang Tian. This way, he would also completely forget the fear in his heart. Facing this blade, Yang Tian raised the blade, and a faint blue sword qi was emitted, slashing toward Kuang Xing. The two sword qi wouldn't collide, and Yang Tian and Kuang Xing couldn't dodge. The moment the two of them unleashed this attack, they both closed their eyes. Whether they lived or died, the result would soon be known. Boom! There was a loud noise. Yang Tian was directly slashed into the ground by the black sword qi. The sword qi continued until it reached the end behind Yang Tian. Wherever it passed, it formed a trench that was more than 10 meters wide. The pyramid that was blocking it was instantly shattered. Kuang Xing's attack was earth-shattering. Compared to Kuang Xing's attack, Yang Tian's attack was silent and went straight through Kuang Xing's body. The result was quickly revealed. The little blue dragon rushed into the trench and quickly dragged out Yang Tian, who was covered in blood. Although he was heavily injured, Yang Tian's breath of life was still there, which meant that he was still alive. And Kuang Xing, although he seemed to be standing there unharmed, his body suddenly lost its breath of life. Because, with the infusion of the giant god's war energy, 15 burst out with a terrifying destructive power against spiritual bodies. Kuang Xing's spiritual body, which was his soul, completely dissipated under this attack. Chapter 803. The battle was finally over. Yang Tian was severely injured. If it weren't for the fact that the giant god armor on him was extremely strong, he would have been shattered by Kuang Xing's attack. Whoosh! There was a gust of wind. After Kuang Xing's death, Chen Wuxingyang was finally relieved. He flashed over to Kuang Xing's body on the ground. Kuang Xing's body was still alive. His organs were still working, but they were not moving at all. As time passed, this living body's functions would slowly decline until it starved to death. A body without a soul was like a machine without a program. It was no different from a normal piece of metal. Boom! While Kuang Xing was dead, Chen Wuxingyang was still filled with resentment when he saw Kuang Xing's living body. He raised his hand and blasted at Kuang Xing's body. Kuang Xing's body was blasted apart by Chen Wuxingyang's attack. Even then, Chen Wuxingyang did not give up. He took out a rune artifact that could release high-temperature flames from his bracelet of holding and burned Kuang Xing's body into ashes. At this moment, the part of Kuang Xing's flesh that was wrapped in the white-hot flame suddenly emitted a wisp of black smoke. It rushed out of the flame, hovered a few times in the air, and then rushed towards Chen Wuxingyang. This was a trace of a god spirit that had always existed within Kuang Xing's body. This spirit was incomplete, but it was much more powerful than a normal cultivator's spirit. It existed within Kuang Xing's body, and while it made Kuang Xing stronger, it also affected Kuang Xing's will. With Kuang Xing dead, this spirit could only look for a new host. Buzzing, at this time 15, which was still burning in Yang Tian's hand and was wrapped in blue flames, began to tremble again. Before this trace of a god's spirit could enter Chen Wuxingyang's body, it was pulled into the blade by 15's powerful suction force. After swallowing this spirit, 15 hummed a few times in satisfaction, and the blue flames that it released gradually disappeared. After a short period of unconsciousness, Yang Tian finally woke up. Although Yang Tian had fainted before the results of the battle were out, he knew that he had won since he had woken up. After waking up, Yang Tian felt pain all over his body. It was as if he had been shattered by Kuang Xing's saber. Although the pain was unbearable, Yang Tian understood that this was actually a good sign. It proved that although his physical body was heavily injured, it could still recover. The little blue dragon used its dragon whiskers to wrap around Yang Tian's body. Under the guidance of Qing Wu Xingyang, they entered the pyramid where Kuang Xing was before. From the outside, apart from the fact that the pagoda was slightly larger, it did not stand out from the rest of the pyramid. However, the interior architecture was the most exquisite of all the pyramids. Countless years ago, the craftsmen of the Everlasting Temple opened up this space and placed a huge floating stone they found in the Sea of Stars. Then, they built tens of thousands of pyramid-shaped buildings on this floating stone to store important items. With so many pyramids, they couldn't just randomly place their items, right? Therefore, among the many pyramids, there was a central control tower that stored a tattoo. The tattoo recorded the locations of all the pyramids and the items stored in them. With the tattoo, it was equivalent to controlling the treasures of the Everlasting Temple. However, the tattoo was protected by a talisman array. After returning to the pagoda, Qing Wu Xingyang could not wait. He walked up one of the 3 stone stairs in the pagoda. At the end of the stone stairs, there was a large stone box with the tattoo inside. With the tattoo, Qing Wu Xingyang could find the cultivation technique of the Qing Wu family according to the records of the tattoo. The space here was very large and there were many things stored. Although he guessed that the cultivation technique of the family was here, he did not know how long it would take to find it one by one. Before Qing Wu Xingyang reached the end, he encountered an invisible rune energy wall that bounced him down. After landing, Qing Wu Xingyang shook his head helplessly. It seemed that if he wanted to find the cultivation technique of the Qing Wu family, he would need Yang Tian's help. It should not be a problem for Yang Tian to crack these talisman arrays. Of course, Qing Wu Xingyang did not only want to find the cultivation technique of the family, but he also wanted to take everything here for himself. Why could the 3 major temples always have soul travel realm experts, allowing the 3 major temples to exist for so long? It was because of the huge amount of cultivation resources here. These cultivation resources did not only refer to various energy crystals, beast cores, pills, but also the world's most comprehensive cultivation technique. Qing Wu Xingyang believed that if he stayed here, he could also become a soul travel realm expert. As soon as the greedy idea appeared in Qing Wu Xingyang's mind, he quickly abandoned it. Because, even if Yang Tian was seriously injured, there was still the little blue dragon watching from the side. Several times, Qing Wu Xingyang noticed that the little blue dragon was looking at him with a very vigilant gaze. Since the greedy idea could not be realized, then, he could only help Yang Tian recover quickly. This way, when Yang Tian ate the meat, he could drink the soup. So, Qing Wu Xingyang pointed at the end of the stone steps opposite him, at the dense stone lattices, and said, There is a box. There are some pills inside, and there might be some good medicine to treat injuries. At this time, Yang Tian had recovered some strength. Hearing Qing Wu Xingyang's words, he said to the little blue dragon, Xiao Long, help me take a look. The little blue dragon nodded, swung its tail, and flew toward where Qing Wu Xingyang pointed. Pung, the little blue dragon was also blocked by the rune energy, and its body was bounced back. But what made Qing Wu Xingyang curious was that the little blue dragon did not give up. When it rushed over for the second time, it successfully passed through the rune energy, sucked the dozens of boxes into its mouth, and flew back. Because the cells of a cultivator's body had already evolved to a new level, medicine did not have much effect on their body. Therefore, the so-called pills, under normal circumstances, were things that could replenish energy, the same concept as beast cores. Even so, there were still many genius alchemists who, when refining beast cores, extracted a special kind of energy from the beast cores and made it into a different kind of pill. After taking this kind of pill, its energy could be absorbed by the body's cells at the fastest speed, speeding up the metabolism and allowing the cultivator's damaged body to recover as soon as possible. Yang Tian did not have much strength, and the little blue dragon did not trust Qing Wu Xingyang. What if this guy wanted to poison Yang Tian to death? And so, the little blue dragon used its dragon whiskers to open all the boxes that it found, and swallowed the colorful pills one by one. During this process, the little blue dragon really did eat a few poisons, and there were powerful insects inside. Fortunately, it had a high-temperature dragon flame, and in the end it burned all the insects to death. After swallowing more than 30 pills, the little blue dragon finally found a suitable pill for Yang Tian. It used its dragon whiskers to wrap it around Yang Tian's mouth. Chapter 804. 2 chapters in 1. With the help of the elixir, Yang Tian's body, which had amazing recovery ability, was healed in less than an hour. After killing Quang Xing, no one could stop Yang Tian from obtaining the treasures of the everlasting temple. With the help of the strange program, Yang Tian quickly obtained tattoo. Under the arrangement of the powerful strange program of tattoo, a list appeared in Yang Tian's mind. This was a list of hundreds of thousands of words. The things listed on it were the wealth accumulated by the everlasting temple over countless years in this world. It took Yang Tian more than an hour to finish reading the list. If all the various cultivation resources listed on the list were used, at least 100 soul travel realm experts could be created. Every generation of palace masters would use a lot of it for their cultivation. Even so, as time passed, more and more wealth would be gathered in this place. It was a waste to leave so many things here. But there was a reason why the everlasting temple did this. In the same era, a temple could only have one soul travel realm expert. A second one was not allowed. This was because there would be internal strife if there were too many people, which would weaken the strength of the temple. The temple collected a large number of cultivation resources and did not use them. This was also a way to maintain its rule. Think about it, if these cultivation resources flowed out and were obtained by other cultivators, it was bound to produce more powerful cultivators. These people would undoubtedly challenge the dignity of the temple. In addition to the cultivation resources, the temple also took in many geniuses. In name, it was better training, but in fact, it was a kind of confinement. With the existence of the 3 sacred halls, the cultivation of this world had actually been destroyed. It was no wonder that Yang Tian felt that the cultivation of this world was lifeless. Yang Tian, now that you have achieved your goal, I need our family's cultivation method. In front of the current Yang Tian, Qing Wu Xingyang felt more pressure than in front of Quang Xing. But for the family, he still mustered up his courage and said, "Without tattoo, it would take a very long time to find the cultivation method of the martial arts clan among the tens of thousands of cultivation method. However, with tattoo and the list compiled by the strange program, Yang Tian's memory was strong. After reading it once, he remembered the list. After Qing Wu Xingyang finished speaking, he quickly found the cultivation method of the Qingwu clan on the list. This set of cultivation methods was placed in a storage bracelet that was specially used to store cultivation method. The talisman arrays on these storage bracelets were all custom-made. They used a password-like binding method instead of an owner recognition method. Actually, if one didn't know the password, cracking it would be no different from cracking a storage bracelet that had already recognized its owner. Of course, this was only difficult for humans. For the current strange program, it was extremely easy to find the universal password through the rune array. The strange program controlled the few remaining rune energy particles and flew a few rounds around the storage bracelet that Yang Tian had casually taken out. Then, it found the universal password. Only the temple master of the Wuji temple knew the password to open these storage bracelets. There were no written records or inheritances. The previous temple master had personally told the next temple master the password once. This method of confidentiality allowed the temple master to have absolute control over the temple. Even if the CC of the temple, who was second only to the temple master, came here and obtained these storage bracelets, they wouldn't be able to open them. The special nature of the runes, coupled with the tyrannical methods of the three great temples, created a cultivation environment that was similar to a cage. After obtaining the universal password, Yang Tian immediately opened the storage bracelet that stored the cultivation method and handed the cultivation method marked with the word Chungu to Chungu Xingyang. Chungu Xingyang's premonition was accurate. The cultivation method of his clan was indeed stored in this pyramid. It wasn't just the cultivation method of the Chungu clan. Yang Tian also saw the cultivation method of the Hui clan. Giving this cultivation method to the Hui Baixing could be considered as returning the favor, right? When Yang Tian had left previously, the Hui Baixing hadn't pursued the matter of the little blue dragon robbing the clan's treasury. Yang Tian had always remembered this favor. It wasn't just the Chungu clan and the Hui clan. Yang Tian was also prepared to return the cultivation methods of the other clans. These cultivation methods were useless in Yang Tian's hands. With the inheritance of the giant god and the scroll he had obtained in the Dragon Star Field, Yang Tian didn't care about the other cultivation methods anymore. Chungu Xingyang was very excited when he opened the scroll that recorded his clan's cultivation method. In fact, the cultivation method recorded in the scroll wasn't the best in this world. However, it was the goal of the Chungu clan for generations. In order to retrieve this cultivation method, the Chungu clan had paid a hefty price for countless years. The significance of its existence was no longer as simple as cultivation. To Chungu Xingyang, holding the cultivation method in his hands was equivalent to holding the scepter of the next clan leader. Yang Tian could understand why Chungu Xingyang was so excited. Back when he was in the Hui clan, in order to obtain higher cultivation methods, the Hui clan had to select the younger generation's elite disciples to enter the temple. The current clan leader, Hui Baixing, had once stayed in the temple for a long time. Apart from this, every clan had to directly or indirectly contribute a large amount of their income to the temple. Over thousands of years, no one knew how much they had contributed to the temple. Yang Tian. Thank you. After a long time, Chungu Xingyang finally calmed down after putting away the cultivation method and expressed his gratitude to Yang Tian. Yang Tian didn't say anything. He raised his hand and pointed, retrieving the wisp of mind power that had been left on Chungu Xingyang's forehead. The origin power that was wrapped by this wisp of mind power also returned to Yang Tian's hand. Now that the matter was settled, and Chungu Xingyang was no longer a threat to Yang Tian naturally had to retrieve these two types of energy. This was originally something that Yang Tian did casually. He didn't think about what retrieving these two types of energy would mean to him. It was because of these two types of energy that Yang Tian found his own energy world. Before obtaining a new physical body, Yang Tian's mind power and origin power no longer existed. Now, the two types of energy that were retrieved from Chungu Xingyang's body were like two seed. Once the mind power and origin power came into contact with Yang Tian's body, they split into two and flowed in Yang Tian's new physical body. Although the physical body was new, it had the bloodline of the little blue dragon and the imprint of Yang Tian's spirit body. Although the origin power's destructive power was strong, it wouldn't destroy Yang Tian's body. The two types of energy flowed in different places. The range of activity of the mind power was mainly concentrated in Yang Tian's brain. The origin power, on the other hand, had a larger range of activity. Yang Tian's entire body was within its range of activity. Yang Tian's mind power carried Yang Tian's will. As soon as it returned to Yang Tian's body, it was as if it had returned home. Without the control of Yang Tian's will, this wisp of mind power turned into a green Xiaolong and wanted to return to the origin realm. Yang Tian sensed a trace of hope from this wisp of mind power, but he could only smile bitterly because he had lost contact with the energy world. However, a miraculous scene happened. This wisp of mind power wandered in Yang Tian's brain for a moment and entered Yang Tian's mind. It quickly disappeared. Although this wisp of mind power was weak, it couldn't disappear into thin air. This strange occurrence immediately attracted Yang Tian's attention. This made him suddenly have a thought. That was, this wisp of mind power that had disappeared had taken the initiative to find the entrance to the energy world and returned to the origin realm. Yang Tian felt that it was a pity that he hadn't paid attention to this wisp of mind power just now. The mind power had disappeared, but the remaining origin power must not be allowed to escape. Yang Tian, who was somewhat excited, immediately closed his eyes and turned all his attention to the wisp of origin power that was still flowing in his body at this moment. The origin power was composed of Yang Tian's mind power, bloodline power, and the power of the Dragon Ball. If the mind power could find its way back, then this wisp of origin power would certainly be able to as well. Yang Tian turned his attention to the origin power, but he didn't deliberately control it. He only used his will to follow behind it. The structure of origin power and mind power was different. Compared to mind power, this wisp of origin power preferred to stay in Yang Tian's body. As it continued to flow, this wisp of origin power absorbed the bloodline power of Yang Tian's current body and gradually became stronger. If at this time Yang Tian no longer wanted to find the origin realm and let this wisp of origin power continue to grow, he could still build a new energy world. Now that he had obtained such a huge amount of cultivation resources, it wouldn't take long for him to become stronger again. Yang Tian could even use the bloodline power of this current body to try out the cultivation method of the giant god. However, this way, the origin power's attribute would change. It was hard to say if it would still have the destructive power from before. Although this was also a choice, he wouldn't do it before he was sure that he couldn't find the origin realm. This was because the origin realm wasn't just a pure energy world to Yang Tian. It also represented his cultivation process from an ordinary human to the present. It was a miracle created by Yang Tian, and Yang Tian placed his hopes on it. Since that wisp of mind power disappeared in his mind, Yang Tian thought about it and used his will to control the much stronger origin power and let it enter his mind. The mind was a special space, and it was also the entrance for intelligent creatures to communicate with unknown world. After guiding the origin power into his mind, Yang Tian gave up control of it. Unlike the mind power, this wisp of origin power was not as active after entering his mind. After experiencing the dream of the giant god, Yang Tian was extremely patient and waited slowly. Time passed slowly. 1 minute, 10 minutes, an hour. Chengwu Xingyang had completely calmed down. He was just about to ask Yang Tian how to leave this place when he saw Yang Tian close his eyes, so he kept quiet. However, as time passed, Chengwu Xingyang became more and more anxious. After obtaining the technique that his family had been trying to find for countless years, he naturally wanted to return to his family as soon as possible. This was because this way, he could quickly be recognized by his family and be listed as the next successor of the family leader. He could also get a woman he liked. Compared to Yang Tian, Chengwu Xingyang was obviously extremely impatient. Perhaps it was because of Yang Tian's tolerance towards him. He finally couldn't help but open his mouth. Puing, however, before Chengwu Xingyang could make a sound, the little blue dragon sent him flying with a claw. The little blue dragon naturally understood that Yang Tian couldn't be disturbed at this time. Perhaps a slight distraction would completely cut off Yang Tian's connection with the origin realm, and he would never be able to find it again. The little blue dragon didn't use much strength. It only stopped Chen Wuxingyang from disturbing Yang Tian. Chen Wuxingyang, who wasn't injured, quickly got up from the ground. Then, he silently walked to the side, leaned against a piece of gravel, and opened up his family's technique to read. The little blue dragon's claw woke him up. Time passed quickly, and a few hours passed. Finally, the force in Yang Tian's mind found an entrance. Like the previous spiritual power, it instantly rushed toward the extremely small entrance that Yang Tian didn't notice. Yang Tian seized this opportunity. His consciousness followed the force and rushed into the passage. Boom! When Yang Tian's consciousness rushed into the entrance, his mind roared. The entrance that was previously closed was finally opened. At this time, Yang Tian finally found his origin realm. This energy world was very different from before. Originally, it was like a vast universe with countless stars. Now, other than a few stars that were still shining, the other stars had completely disappeared. Not only that, but the origin realm was also no longer as vast as before. The black hole chain formed by the 12 black holes was still operating. Without Yang Tian's control, coupled with the fact that the energy it could absorb was greatly reduced, its speed was much slower than at its peak. At this time, the black hole chain was naturally easier to control than when it was operating at its highest speed. When Yang Tian's consciousness descended on the black hole chain, he immediately took control of it. At this time, looking at the desolated origin realm, Yang Tian was finally in the mood to let out a long sigh. The energy world was not destroyed. Fortunately, he had found it. He knew that as long as there was enough energy, the origin realm would recover and even become larger than before. After withdrawing his consciousness from the origin realm, Yang Tian thought for a while and finally understood why he had lost contact with the origin realm. This was because the attractive force produced by the black hole chain was too strong. It even swallowed his own physical body. At that moment, although Yang Tian didn't receive any instructions from his consciousness, his body automatically produced protective measures and directly closed the entrance to the energy world. This caused the energy world to become a sealed energy world. In this way, not only would Yang Tian's spiritual body not be destroyed, but it also indirectly protected the energy world. This was also the reason why the black hole in the middle of the boulder under his feet suddenly became stable. Otherwise, not to mention the boulder, this void would have been swallowed by the black hole chain. Yang Tian and Kuang Xing's spiritual bodies, as well as the little blue dragon and Qing Wuxingyang, none of them would be able to escape. Yang Tian, who had recovered the energy world, was very happy. He said to Qing Wuxingyang, who was not far away, "Give me a little more time, and we will leave this place." At this time, the everlasting temple should be about to collapse. Chapter 805. Boom. There was a loud noise. The everlasting temple that had already flown for tens of thousands of kilometers finally could not withstand the increasing speed and collapsed with a loud noise. The huge mountain that formed the temple and all sorts of beautiful palaces fell from thousands of meters high. A moment later, it crashed into a giant river below. This was a large river at the border between the Cloud Dominion and the Flame Dominion. When the huge temple collapsed and fell into the river, it was like a stone that was thrown into a lake. It only caused a few waves, and after a few minutes, the river calmed down. Before the everlasting temple collapsed, most of the cultivators in the temple had already left. Only a small number of them did not leave due to various reasons. Poof! After the river calmed down for a moment, it suddenly exploded, and several figures rushed out from within. The leader was Gao Yuan, followed by Black Talisman Lord, Grand Duke Hong, Shi Qinyu. The group rushed out from the river and quickly landed on the riverside. At this time, Shi Qinyu was smiling. It was obvious that she had achieved her goal. I didn't expect that Yang Tian would be of great help to us again. Let's go. Let's go back. With that, Shi Chen Yu moved and headed toward a teleportation point that was built not far from the riverside. After the group of people left, a large number of fish suddenly gathered on the wide river. Each of them was even larger than the blue whales on Earth. Many of the cultivators who stayed in the temple and fell into the river with the temple became food for these ferocious fish before they could even reach the surface. The destruction of the everlasting temple undoubtedly represented the end of an era. Soon, a large number of cultivators gathered on both sides of the river. They looked at the large fish that kept jumping out of the water with mixed feelings. When the everlasting temple was destroyed, Yang Tian, who had caused the end of an era, began to get busy. With tattoo, Yang Tian could easily find what he needed. In order to restore the original realm to its original state, he needed to replenish a large amount of energy. In less than an hour, Yang Tian, the little blue dragon, and Chen Wuxingyang had looted the 12 pyramids. More than 3,000 storage tools were collected from the 12 pyramid. In an open space between the pyramids, Yang Tian opened up the storage tools one by one and released the various medicinal pills stored inside. Hundreds of storage tools were opened, and all kinds of medicinal pills were piled on the ground like sand, piled into more than 10 piles. Every single pile was at least 10 meters tall. Looking at this sight, Chen Wuxingyang, who was helping Zhang Xian organize the pills, felt as if he was going to go insane. Although he was born in a large clan and had seen the clan's treasury, this was the first time he had seen so many pills. He didn't expect that pills like the fantasy realm, life comprehension, and 100 transformations could be piled up like a small mountain one day. What was Yang Tian trying to do by releasing so many pills? Could it be that he was going to swallow so many medicinal pills in one go? What Yang Tian did next was exactly as Chen Wuxingyang had guessed. He took off the giant god armor on his body, leaped into the air, and transformed into a giant dragon that was dozens of meters long. Roar! After an excited howl to the sky, Yang Tian lowered his head, opened his mouth, and inhaled. There were more than 10 huge piles of medicinal pills below. No matter what level the medicinal pills were, they formed more than 10 pillars of medicinal pills, constantly rushing into Yang Tian's mouth. Absorbing so much energy at once, wasn't this courting death? Even Quang Xing wouldn't dare to absorb so much energy at once. Yang Tian did this, of course, not because he was crazy, but after some calculations, he did this. In the process of fighting with Quang Xing, Yang Tian's realm had actually been raised to the 100 transformations realm. After that, he went through the test of the artifact spirit in the giant god armor and received the inheritance of the giant god. Now, his physical body had the bloodline of the giant god. Whether it was mentally or physically, Yang Tian had the foundation to raise his realm again. As long as there was enough energy, Yang Tian was sure that he could directly raise his realm to the Astral Wanderer realm, the top cultivation realm in this world. This was something that Yang Tian had been looking forward to for a long time. Of course, before he could raise his realm, Yang Tian still needed to repair his original realm. This also required a huge amount of energy, because in his original realm, there was the black hole chain that he had created. This was a superweapon that had almost no explosive limit. Previously, when the original realm almost collapsed, Yang Tian understood that in order for the black hole chain to produce power that he was satisfied with, it had to be expanded at least 100 times. The energy stored in the original realm was not enough for the black hole chain to consume. Therefore, the energy released by these medicinal pills was not much for Yang Tian. In the process of raising his realm, Yang Tian also had a plan. As soon as a large number of medicinal pills entered Yang Tian's body, they quickly turned into a huge amount of energy and entered Yang Tian's energy world. In order to expand this world, Yang Tian first had to feed the black hole chain formed by the 12 black holes. Under the control of Yang Tian's consciousness, a steady stream of energy was absorbed by the 12 black holes. In Yang Tian's original realm, they became bigger and bigger, and the distance between each other became farther and farther. The force field produced by the black hole chain quickly spread throughout the entire original realm. Through this experiment, Yang Tian immediately grasped the size of the energy world that the black hole chain needed. At the same time, after absorbing enough energy, the black hole chain also stabilized. Next, Yang Tian used the absorbed energy to expand the energy world. Rumble. Next, Yang Tian's energy world began to rumble non-stop. This was the sound produced by the collision of the energy world with the void energy in the process of expansion. This sound made people feel that it was incomparably steady and heavy, as if a huge galaxy in the universe was revolving. In the process of the original realm's expansion, a large number of planets appeared. First, it was the stars, then the planets orbiting the stars. Small galaxies appeared one after another, followed by large galaxies formed by small galaxies. As soon as the celestial bodies appeared, they began to provide energy to support the original realm, causing the original realm to expand even faster. As the original realm grew larger, more planets began to forming more galaxies of various sizes. Under this cycle, the speed at which Yang Tian's original realm expanded increased exponentially. Of course, this also consumed energy at a faster rate. In less than 10 minutes, at least 1/3 of the more than 10 small mountains of elixirs had been absorbed by Yang Tian. The energy produced by these elixirs could fill hundreds of change realm cultivators to death, but there was no reaction from Yang Tian's body at all. After absorbing so much energy, the aura emitted from Yang Tian's body was still stable. It did not become stronger, nor did it produce any chaotic energy fluctuations. This made Qingwu Xingyang feel that these elixirs were not absorbed by Yang Tian, but were put into a special storage space in Yang Tian's body, just like the storage space in the little blue dragon's body. Soon, Qingwu Xingyang understood that Yang Tian had indeed swallowed these elixirs and converted the energy of these elixirs into his own energy. There was a limit to the size of Yang Tian's energy world. It was impossible for it to expand infinitely. When it reached a certain size and could no longer expand, it would stabilize. At this time, the rich energy began to be replenished by Yang Tian's body. Because he had the bloodline of the Titan god, the amount of energy Yang Tian's body could contain was also very terrifying. At this time, at least half of the elixirs had been absorbed by Yang Tian. The energy produced by the remaining elixirs was all replenished by Yang Tian's body. The thirsty cells of his body began to absorb a huge amount of energy like a dry sponge. Just like when Yang Tian was fighting with Kuang Xing, he frantically activated the black hole chain. The aura emitted from his body continued to strengthen. First, it was the illusion realm pinnacle realm. Soon, it was the 100 transformations realm. After staying at the 100 transformations realm for about half an hour, a powerful aura that caused Qingwu Xingyang to be unable to breathe erupted from Yang Tian's body. It was actually the soul travel realm. Same old rules, amount for tomorrow's third watch. Chapter 806. 3 chapters in 1. Collect. Yang Tian, wearing the giant god armor, looked at the boulder in front of him that was bigger than Earth and shouted. Immediately, the space around the boulder began to fluctuate. A moment later, when the spatial fluctuations stopped, the boulder had disappeared and appeared in Yang Tian's energy world. After reaching the soul travel realm, the origin realm had expanded 100 times, and he had obtained the secret technique from the giant god. Yang Tian could use the origin realm as a storage space. Yang Tian's origin realm was much larger than ordinary storage spaces and could store more things. It was also much more convenient to use than storage tools. It would take a long time to search all the pyramids on the boulder and take out the things inside. Yang Tian had to leave now and stop the people from the Starry Sky Temple and the Sky Domain Temple. Yang Tian believed that even if Kuo-Xing was killed, without him, Yu Gui of the Sky Domain Temple and Ji Mi of the Starry Sky Temple would definitely continue with their plan. In fact, even if the two of them did nothing, Yang Tian would destroy the Sky Domain Temple and the Starry Sky Temple and kill the two of them. Sometimes, Yang Tian was a vengeful person. Although the hatred between the two of them and Yang Tian was not as deep as Yang Tian's hatred for Kuo-Xing, it was still formed by runes. This void was originally made up of rune energy. As long as there was a rune array, the strange program could break it. The strange program controlled the few remaining rune energy particles and swam a few times in the void, opening a spatial exit. In an underground cave that was 10,000 meters deep, there was a huge crystal pagoda. This crystal pagoda was very beautiful. It was made of translucent materials that looked like crystals. The remaining high platform belonged to Kuo-Xing. But now, Kuo-Xing was dead. To activate the crystal pagoda, Yu Gui and Ji Mi's combined energy would be a little strenuous. Although they did not see Kuo-Xing's death, the two of them still knew that Kuo-Xing was dead. From the reports of their subordinates, the limitless divine palace had also been destroyed. Without Kuo-Xing and the treasury that had been passed down for countless years, even if someone wanted to rebuild the everlasting temple, it would be impossible. Unless Yu Gui and Ji Mi thought of the same possibility at the same time. Separated by dozens of meters, the two couldn't help but look at each other. Boom! Suddenly, the top of his head was directly blasted open by a powerful force. A black figure descended from the sky and landed on the high platform belonging to Kuo-Xing. There was a little blue dragon coiled around this person's left shoulder. The person who came was undoubtedly Yang Tian. Yu Gui and Ji Mi were not surprised by Yang Tian's arrival. This was the law of survival in this world. As long as you were strong enough and killed someone stronger, you would be able to obtain everything from the other party. At this moment, Yang Tian was holding a saber in each hand. The blue saber was held in his left hand, and the red saber 15 was held in his right hand. The blue saber that originally belonged to the giant god was indestructible and had shocking attack power. 15 had become a powerful soul-severing saber. As long as it was a living being, it would be able to slay it. Especially after absorbing a sliver of a god's spiritual body, 15's power had increased to another level. Yang Tian placed the two sabers on the high platform and looked at Yu Gui and Ji Mi. Then, he looked at the tall crystal pagoda in front of him. To Yang Tian, this crystal pagoda was simply too beautiful. He did not know how the people from the three great shrines built it. There was no such thing as art in this world, but in Yang Tian's eyes it was a huge piece of art. Yang Tian, congratulations! If you are willing, the Sky Domain Temple and the Astral Temple will help you rebuild the Everlasting Temple. While Yang Tian was sizing up the crystal pagoda in front of him, Ji Mi suddenly said, "This crystal pagoda was shaped like the Seven Treasures' exquisite pagoda. Moreover, it really had 7 floors, and each floor was carved with strange beasts." This made Yang Tian suspect that the craftsmen who built this crystal pagoda came from Earth and were ancient cultivators. Regarding Ji Mi's suggestion, or rather a compromise, Yang Tian withdrew his gaze from the crystal pagoda. To be honest, Yang Tian was also moved by this suggestion. The temple master of the everlasting temple was like an emperor in this world. He was the pinnacle of power in this world. Once he became the hall master of the limitless temple, Yang Tian would be able to change the cultivation world according to his wishes, making the world even more beautiful. This thought only existed in Yang Tian's mind for less than 3 seconds before Yang Tian gave up. This was because Yang Tian didn't have a sense of belonging to this world. If he found Qin Fei, he was willing to return to his original world and live a peaceful life. Of course, after you become the temple master of the everlasting temple, we will still let you be the leader. Seeing that Yang Tian didn't respond, Jimi added. While Jimi was persuading Yang Tian, the hot-tempered Yu Gui clenched his fists under his sleeves and tightened them again and again. Yu Gui and Jimi were very clear about Kuo-shing's battle strength. Even if the two of them worked together, they might not be able to defeat Kuo-shing. However, such a powerful person was killed by Yang Tian. In other words, Yang Tian's current battle strength had already surpassed Kuo-shing's. If they could rope in Yang Tian, they definitely didn't want to be enemies with Yang Tian. In the face of Jimi's suggestion, Yang Tian still shook his head and said, "The existence of the three great temples is extremely unreasonable, so they must be destroyed. If the two of you can disband the Sky Domain Temple and Starry Sky Temple, I can let you go." When he said this, although Yang Tian's tone was calm, it was filled with strong confidence. After advancing to the Soul Travel Realm, Yang Tian's battle strength had far surpassed Kuo-shing's. Even if he faced Yu Gui and Jimi working together, he was confident of winning. "You are courting death." As soon as Yang Tian's voice fell, Yu Gui jumped up and looked coldly at Yang Tian, gritting his teeth and saying, "Even Kuo-shing didn't dare to say such arrogant words to them." Jimi wanted to calm down, but as the temple master, he was arrogant to begin with. At this time, he couldn't help but stand up and look at Yang Tian with a face full of dissatisfaction. A great battle was unavoidable. Jimi tried to calm himself down and said to Yang Tian again, "Yang Tian, do you know what the three great temples originally wanted to do? Although this world is huge, it's just a large island in the Star Sea. In the Star Sea, islands like this are everywhere, and the number is incalculable. Even if they are destroyed, we can always find a new island. Say no more." Before Jimi could finish, Yu Gui waved his sleeve and spoke to stop Jimi from continuing. What Jimi wanted to say was the secret of the three great temples, the secret of the Star Sea. For countless years, the three sacred halls had never stopped their exploration of the Starry Sea. They had the most information about the Star Sea. But what they didn't know was that Yang Tian knew even more than they did through the giant god Dreamland. Even some secrets that the strange beasts in the Star Sea didn't know were known by Yang Tian. It could be said that in this world, no one knew the Star Sea better than Yang Tian. Jimi was determined not to make an enemy of Yang Tian. Although Yu Gui stopped him, he still continued, "We have been trapped in the Star Sea, unable to move freely in the Star Sea like the strange beasts in the Star Sea. It's not because we aren't strong enough, but because we lack an element in our bodies. In fact, all of us, including the native strange beasts, came from another world. Yang Tian, I'm sure you know this better than us." At this point, Jimi stopped and smiled at Yang Tian, turning into a beautiful and enchanting woman. Yang Tian really found it hard to get used to Jimi's change. He could not help but frown and said indifferently, "I understand. You guys want the earth vein to obtain that thing." Jimi nodded. "The cultivation method in the ley line map can allow us to obtain that strange energy. In fact, it's not only us who can benefit from it. If the ley line map is made public, all cultivators will be able to practice it in the future and go to a wider Star Sea to see a bigger and more exciting world." Jimi's words were very tempting. There were thousands of people from the three sacred halls in this underground space, and all of them were top experts. When Jimi said this, their eyes lit up. However, Yang Tian snorted and said, "I can't deny that what you said is just an excuse to confuse people. When the time comes, the entire world will be destroyed. How many people will be able to survive? Not to mention ordinary people who don't cultivate, how many of the cultivators here can survive?" Yang Tian's tone became more and more severe. "What if I told you that the complete cultivation method in the ley line map already exists? It's just that it's scattered among the cultivation methods of the various clans. Would you believe that? I think all of you know this better than me, right? When Yang Tian said this, Yu Gui said loudly, "Our 3 sacred halls have grasped many of the cultivation methods of the various clans. We have also gathered and organized them before, but we don't have them." After Yu Gui said this, he immediately shouted, "Everyone, don't listen to him. Let's go together and complete our plan. When the time comes, my Sky Domain's sacred hall will naturally share it with everyone." After saying this, Yu Gui's sleeves moved without wind. He was ready to fight with Yang Tian at any time. At this time, Jimmy finally understood that it was impossible to reach an agreement with Yang Tian. In the future, they could only rely on battle to determine victory and defeat. If they defeated Yang Tian, they would naturally be able to complete the following plan. If they lost, this world would be dominated by Yang Tian. Although they might not be able to defeat Yang Tian even if they joined forces with Yu Gui, there were still many hidden experts in this world who were on the same side as the 3 sacred halls. Following this, Yang Tian, Yu Gui, and Ji Mi did not speak again. The 3 of them stood on the high platform in silence. A powerful aura was emitted from the 3 of them. The thousands of cultivators around them kept on retreating with complicated expressions. A battle between Soul's Travel Realm experts was not something they could participate in. The first one to make a move was not Yu Gui, but Jimmy. Unknowingly, Jimmy had reverted back to his male form. He did not attack Yang Tian. Instead, he took out a palm-sized, round, red array plate from his storage bracelet. Crack, without any hesitation, Jimmy crushed the array plate as soon as he took it out. A powerful ripple of rune energy was emitted in all directions and kept on spreading. Seeing Jimmy move, Yu Gui also reacted. At the same time, he also took out 2 red array badges. It seemed that when Quoxing returned, he had given his array plate to Yu Gui. After the 3 array plates were shattered, Yang Tian frowned and took out his replica 9-colored palace plate from his waist. At this time, the 9-colored palace plate was vibrating. It seemed that the 3 array plates were the summoning order for the 3 holy halls. He wondered how many hidden experts the 3 holy halls would be able to gather. "Yang Tian, it's not convenient to fight here. Let's go to the sand region." Since Jimmy had made up his mind, he gave up on persuading Yang Tian and focused on making an enemy out of Yang Tian. At this time, he suddenly said to Yang Tian with a cold smile. This was exactly what Yang Tian wanted. Yang Tian nodded with a smile. Whoosh whoosh, Jimmy and Yu Gui acted almost at the same time as if they had made an agreement beforehand. The 2 of them turned into 2 beams of light and rushed out from the entrance that Yang Tian came from. Bang! When Yang Tian moved, compared to the 2 of them, he was much more clumsy. He kicked hard on the platform and crushed it. Then, he turned into a black shadow and rushed out as well. The sand region was hundreds of thousands of miles away from here. Other than Soul Travel Realm experts who could reach here in a short amount of time, cultivators of other realms could only chase after them through the teleportation network. Naturally, the cultivators would not let go of the chance to watch this battle. They all rushed to the sand region. The news spread across the world at an extremely fast speed. It was even faster than the news of the Everlasting Temple's destruction. Historically, the 3 holy halls had sent out the summoning order at the same time. For countless years, other than the experts that the 3 holy halls had on the surface, they had also secretly trained many experts with unique personalities. These people would not normally appear in front of the world. Some of them had even never walked in the world. They only knew how to cultivate. Their purpose in life was to cultivate. The holy halls provided these people with a large amount of cultivation resources. Without a doubt, they were their parents and the foundation of their cultivation. Now that the Everlasting Temple had been destroyed, and the other 2 holy halls were about to be destroyed as well, to them it was as if their livelihood had been taken away. and the person who had taken away their livelihood and destroyed their cultivation was Yang Tian. To them, Yang Tian was their mortal enemy. When they received the summoning order, other than a small number of people, the rest of the hidden cultivators all rushed to the sand region. Among these people, most of them were at the 100 Changes realm. There were also a small number of them who were at the Soul Travel realm. These people's combat power was even stronger than Yu Gui and Ji Mi. In less than 10 minutes, Yu Gui and Ji Mi had crossed hundreds of thousands of miles and arrived at the center of the sand region. The sand region's environment was harsh. Most of the places were barren. The temperature was so high that it could instantly turn meat into jerky. In order to arrive early, Yu Gui and Ji Mi had both used their talisman treasures to perform a short-distance spatial jump. They thought that they could shake off Yang Tian and suppress Yang Tian right away. But what they did not expect was that the moment they appeared, a black shadow flashed by not far away. Yang Tian actually followed. However, thinking of Yang Tian's attainments in the Talisman Dao, the two of them did not find it strange. Yang Tian's position was 1,000 meters away from Yu Gui and Ji Mi. To Soul Travel realm experts, 1,000 meters was no longer a safe distance. Looking at Yu Gui and Ji Mi from 1,000 meters away, Yang Tian did not make a move. Although he knew that he could gain the upper hand by striking first before the two's helpers arrived, he still waited quietly. This was not Yang Tian's indecisiveness, but Yang Tian's confidence. This confidence did not come from his own powerful ability, but also from the influence of the giant god. The powerful giant god was extremely calm even when facing millions of alien beast race experts. The more enemies there were, the more his fighting spirit would be aroused. Yang Tian also had this mentality at this moment. He felt that just fighting with Yu Gui and Ji Mi was not satisfying at all. It would be better if more people came. Even if he could not win, leaving was not a problem at all. One had to know that Yang Tian had the bloodline of the giant god and could fly freely in the Star Sea. If not for the fact that the matters in this world had not been resolved, he would not feel good about leaving now. After coming out of the Limitless Temple, he would have already gone to the Star Sea to search for the divine domain. Yang Tian did not have to wait for long. A gust of wind blew. The first to arrive were more than 30 Soul Travel Realm cultivators. These people were experts that the 3 temples had secretly nurtured. If not for the fact that the temples were in a life and death situation, they would never have been invited. Among these people, most of them looked like old people. The rest were middle-aged men and women. No matter their age or gender, as soon as these people arrived, they all looked coldly at Yang Tian. More than 30 people spread out in a circle, surrounding Yang Tian in the center. Among them, there were experts with pet beasts or even subdued beasts in the air, blocking Yang Tian's escape route. As soon as these people arrived, they did not immediately attack Yang Tian. Not long after, a large number of 100 Change Realm experts arrived. There were at least 100,000 of them. Even the phenomenon caused by the Talisman Master last time did not attract so many experts at the same time. The identities of these cultivators were much more complicated. Some of them were officials of the 3 temples, some were experts of their families, and there were also hermits and automatons. The speed of travel was also related to one's realm. The more powerful one was, the faster one could travel. Yang Tian, suddenly, a familiar voice sounded beside Yang Tian. It turned out to be Chu Yengying. With the powerful energy of the Tree of World, Chu Yengying could go wherever the roots of the Tree of World went. The powerful roots of the Tree of World had already penetrated into the ground under the sand region. No one knew about the changes in this world faster than Chu Yengying. Seeing Yang Tian fighting against so many people at the same time, Chu Yengying looked worried. There were dozens of experts as strong as Kuo-Xing around. "Don't worry. It's okay." Yang Tian turned around and said to Chu Yengying, They are just targets for me to practice my saber. Things here will be over soon. When the time comes, I will take you to the Sea of Stars to play." Yang Tian's words conveyed his strong confidence to Chu Yen Guang. Looking at Yang Tian in front of her, Chu Yen Guang felt that Yang Tian had changed again. This was almost a habit. This man was growing too fast. As long as they did not meet for a period of time, he would become even stronger. It was as if nothing could stop him. Yang Tian seemed to be born to be a peak expert. After nodding obediently at Yang Tian, Chu Yen Guang dove into the red sand with a puff sound. She knew that she would only cause trouble for Yang Tian if she stayed, so she might as well leave. In any case, with the power of the Tree of World, the situation here would be clear. At that time, if Yang Tian was defeated, she could use the power of the Tree of World to protect Yang Tian. Actually, Chu Yen Guang's appearance had some ulterior motives. She knew that Yang Tian had other women in this world. Now that he had appeared in front of everyone, any woman would understand what this meant. What Yang Tian didn't know was that at this time, there was a middle-aged man with a special identity looking at him with a smile. This man was the immeasurable Star Master. After coming to this world with Shi Chun and Yu Yu, the immeasurable Star Master didn't stay for long before leaving. With his outstanding cultivation talent, the immeasurable Star Master had become a member of the Sky Domain God Palace's guest department. The immeasurable Star Master was always paying attention to the major events that happened in this world. At this time, the immeasurable Star Master felt that Yang Tian was unfathomable. Yang Tian's realm had far surpassed his. "Is everyone here?" After Chu Yen Guang left, Yang Tian pulled out his blades from the sand and said calmly. His voice wasn't loud, but it sounded like he was looking down on the world. Whoosh! Before he could finish his words, an old man who belonged to the Boundless Temple's guest department suddenly made a move. Yang Tian's destruction of the everlasting temple hurt his interests the most. He couldn't wait to suck all the energy from Yang Tian's body. This nameless old man's cultivation method was absorb. He absorbed other people's energy for his own use. In a flash, the nameless old man was less than 100 meters away from Yang Tian. He raised his hand and grabbed at Yang Tian. A strange aura enveloped Yang Tian. Immediately, Yang Tian felt the energy on the surface of his body overflow and gather in the old man's palm. Absorbing Star's great skill, Yang Tian was stunned and then smiled. He thought to himself, "Since you want to absorb, I'll let you absorb as much as you want." With a thought, a black hole appeared between Yang Tian and the old man. As soon as this black hole appeared, it didn't absorb the surrounding energy, but released a powerful energy. Moreover, the force field emitted by this black hole also enveloped the nameless old man. Originally, the nameless old man was feeling proud when he saw a large amount of energy from Yang Tian's body being absorbed by him. He didn't expect that a black ball would appear and release an unimaginable amount of energy towards him. This energy was too large. It wasn't something he could digest in a short period of time. The nameless old man reacted very quickly. He was about to withdraw his cultivation method and retreat when he was shocked to find that the absorbing star's great skill he was so proud of had actually lost control. Powerful energy poured into his body without any regard for his life. In a few blinks of an eye, it filled his energy world and then began to pour into his body. Chapter 807. The Nameless Elder was shocked. There was too much energy in his body, and his body couldn't digest it in time. He wanted to leave, but he was wrapped up by a powerful energy, just like how his absorbing star's great skill trapped Yang Tian. Suddenly, a crackling sound came from the Nameless Elder's body. The amount of energy Yang Tian poured into his body was simply too much, causing his cells to be unable to withstand it and shatter one after another. Of course, pure energy couldn't achieve this effect. Yang Tian's energy was origin power, mixing origin power into pure energy that could be directly absorbed by the nameless old man, and when it exploded, it would reach an extremely destructive level. Boom! Suddenly, the nameless old man's body exploded like a bomb. In less than 30 seconds, a soul travel realm cultivator was killed by Yang Tian in such a strange way. The dozens of soul travel realm experts around saw Yang Tian, who was like a god of war, and couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. How much energy did Yang Tian possess to be able to stuff a cultivator of the same realm to death? This person is not someone we can defeat alone. Let's attack together. Suddenly, someone shouted loudly. When encountering an enemy that couldn't be defeated, the best way was to attack together. The cultivators in this world didn't have any martial spirit. As soon as the voice fell, 5 soul travel realm cultivators immediately rushed towards Yang Tian. The rest of the people didn't stop to watch. Instead, they spread out evenly with Yang Tian as the center. Without guessing, Yang Tian knew that these people wanted to use talisman arrays to deal with him. The 5 soul travel realm experts were 3 men and 2 women. Seeing the 9 colored palace tokens hanging on their waists, they knew that they belonged to the Limitless Temple's guest department. Yang Tian destroyed the Limitless Temple. To the people of the Limitless Temple, the loss was the greatest. Naturally, they hated Yang Tian the most. These 5 people acted at the same time. Naturally, they didn't attack Yang Tian individually. Instead, they used a combination attack. When one's cultivation reached a certain level and accumulated rich combat experience, even if they didn't know each other before, they could work together perfectly when dealing with the same enemy. The 5 people moved and instantly appeared less than 100 meters away from Yang Tian. One of them, an old man and 2 middle-aged men, surrounded Yang Tian in a triangle. As soon as the 3 people were in position, they attacked at the same time. 3 powerful forces, like 3 energy walls, instantly merged into one. The space around Yang Tian was compressed by these 3 forces, causing Yang Tian's body to be under great pressure. Among the 5, there were 2 middle-aged women. One of them flew above Yang Tian's head and a silver spear-like weapon appeared in her hand. Swish! When Yang Tian was trapped by the 3 forces, the woman stabbed down with the silver-white spear in her hand. A small red light, only as thick as a finger, shot out from the tip of the spear and pierced towards Yang Tian's head like a bolt of lightning. The other middle-aged woman, at some point, disappeared from Yang Tian's sight. It wasn't because she was fast, but because she used an invisibility talisman array. Using a talisman array in front of a strange program was like showing off in front of an expert. Facing the attack of the 5 people, Yang Tian roared. The old man and the 2 middle-aged men worked together to bind Yang Tian, but under Yang Tian's powerful strength, it didn't have any effect at all. As he shouted, Yang Tian's body was still agile. He moved a few meters to the side and dodged the red light piercing down from above his head. Immediately, his body shook and a powerful force burst out, shattering the frozen space around him. The old man and the 2 middle-aged men were forced back by the force of the recoil. At this time, Yang Tian didn't stop. He slashed forward with the blue longsword in his left hand. Whoosh! There was a sharp whistling sound. The invisible sword chi from the blue longsword rubbed against the air and let out a sharp whistling sound. This whistling sound was only for a moment, and then it disappeared. It wasn't that the sword chi couldn't be sustained, but that it was too fast. As soon as it was released from the blade, it was in a state of constant acceleration. When it reached the extreme, it could break through space. Boom! When the whistling sound disappeared, less than 50 meters away from Yang Tian, there was a strong collision sound. The middle-aged woman, who was invisible, was slashed out by Yang Tian's invisible sword chi. To others, her invisibility was almost unbreakable. But with the strange program helping Yang Tian, no matter where she was, as long as there was rune energy emitted from her body, No matter how weak it was, the strange program would be able to find her. This woman was also a decisive person. After being slashed out by Yang Tian, she was seriously injured. Knowing that she was no match for Yang Tian, she gritted her teeth and turned to run. Yang Tian didn't have time to pay attention to the middle-aged woman who ran away, because there was another one above him. When Yang Tian dodged the red light, the woman immediately rose up. She flipped in the air, and a powerful force burst out from her body. The silver spear in her hand was also a powerful rune treasure. Just now, she couldn't hit Yang Tian. This time, she used her most powerful force and used the strongest attack in her life. At this time, her body began to spin. The rune energy that burst out from the silver spear condensed together, forming an invisible drill with strong penetrating power. Coupled with the middle-aged woman's high-speed rotation, the power of the silver spear was estimated to be able to pierce through a mountain in an instant. In order to cooperate with her, the old man and the two middle-aged men who were knocked back by Yang Tian raised their hands again. A force even stronger than before instantly solidified the space around Yang Tian. This kind of space solidification not only affected Yang Tian's speed, but also weakened the attack that Yang Tian launched. Kakik, the full-strength attack of 3 soul travel realm experts, was naturally very powerful. The giant god armor on Yang Tian's body made a slight creaking sound. This was the sound produced by the joints of the armor when it was under great force. Every cultivator had their own unique way of attack, and the destructive power produced was different, but each attack was the crystallization of the cultivator's wisdom. Fighting with these people constantly could gain rich combat experience. Just like the giant god, in the later stages of his life, no matter what the opponent used, he could see through it at a glance. At this time, Yang Tian's heart was very excited. This time, he did not explode with more power like before to shatter the solidified space around him. Instead, he kicked off the ground and bounced up. The red long sword 15 and the blue sword had long left Yang Tian's hands. Under the control of Yang Tian's spiritual power, they were entwined together and spun rapidly to meet the middle-aged woman who was rushing down from the sky. Yang Tian was going to fight back in the same way. Boom! There was another loud noise. In the air, 2 powerful forces collided. One of the blue lights burst out at this time, forming a light curtain that covered Yang Tian, while the other red light directly passed through the silver light that attacked Yang Tian. When Yang Tian turned over and landed on the ground, the middle-aged woman had already lost her life. Her body was rolled into minced meat by Red Sword 15, and even her spiritual body was absorbed by 15. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.